Locked inside a Miami federal prison, Peter found 2 lifelines, postcards of hope to his fiancée Bonnie Pixie Brenner, and a hidden multi-million-dollar prison scandal he's now exposing. I went to prison so you won't have to. Peter and Pixie share a riveting prison diary, a heartfelt love story, and a shocking look at injustice in America's prison system. Stand with Peter. Scan the QR code now or go to Amazon.com to order your copy.
I went to prison so you won't have to.
All right, folks, there it is. The bell's ringing as we come to air, moving Broad and Wall in New York City, New York Stock Exchange balcony overlooking the trading floor. If you've never done it, it's a really cool thing to do. Markets closed. Kind of a weird session today. So last night I told you a bunch of earnings were coming out, Facebook, a couple of the big names, a couple of big tech companies, and they were very good. They were beating estimates. And over the night, through the night, the markets were up 350, 400 points at one point. And it's somewhere around midday today when they started talking about, I think Trump cut a deal to push back the Mexican tariff situation from tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day that all the tariffs, the high tariffs, are going to go into place. He cut a separate deal with Mexico to hold off on theirs alone. I think the confusion in the market kind of roiled people on Wall Street, and we'll look what happened. It went from about 350, 400 higher to 330 lower on the Dow. S&P lost 23. NASDAQ was up all day, again, on the heels of some really good earnings coming out of some of the tech companies, and it got end of the day lower. It got smashed from midday on. I told you today and tomorrow were going to be very, very big days. GDP is strong, so that's positive. It looks like rates could come down. They didn't come down yesterday. Good earnings still, and the market is now starting to digest some of that right now. So, but one of the other things I want to look at, oil down a little bit. That's good news. 69, it was up over 70 yesterday. You want to see that thing backing off. Gold holding $3,350 an ounce. It's insane. It's great. And I'm laughing because we've been talking about this, not just here, for the entirety of my career. His first day on television, buy gold, hold gold, never sell gold. And I stand by that. Now time to sell gold. Crypto backed off a touch over the last 24 hours. Bitcoin was 118,000 yesterday, 116,000 today. Ethereum still hovering around the all-time high, 3,800 or so all-time high. Bitcoin's all-time high is 123,000. So crypto easing a touch with the overall general market. But generally, not a bad week for the market so far. More big earnings are coming out this evening, probably within the next, by the end of the show, you're going to see Apple, Amazon, and a couple other ones. Maybe we'll get them to you because they will definitely affect the market tomorrow. All right, I had the opportunity to speak with the Deputy CEO for the U.S. Agency for Global Media. That is, of course, the one, the only, our good friend, Carrie Lake. She's taken U.S. AGM down to the bare bones in employment in order to restore its value. But it seems that some foreign nationals who are here on work visas, well, they don't hold roles in the agency anymore, but they're refusing to go home. Take a look. Carrie. So tell us about these folks that you're eliminating the jobs, which is great, saving the taxpayers money. But these people now, well, they're on work visas. They don't want to go home. Should they be going home?
Well, this program should have never started to begin with. We should have never been doing a J-1 visa program, bringing foreign journalists in. There's a different visa to bring journalists in. And it was a way to bring people in from many nations to work in Voice of America, and many of them from nations that are hostile to America. I mean, these are from countries that are, really are adversarial to the United States of America. And so you bring people in from them and you have to worry if they will become a national security risk. Well, we've decided to stop that J-1 visa program and no longer do that. We are downsizing. I like to call it right-sizing an agency that got way out of control. And now that we've done that, we have many of these folks who came in on the J-1 visa, which means they can only stay here as long as this job is available to them, who don't want to leave and are trying to find any reason they can to stay. And so we're going to work to make sure that they leave our country. Their time here is up. And I said it before, if I have to go to the airport with them and accompany them to the airport and get them on the flight, I will do that. But this is not a hostile. America's not a hostile. You don't get get to come here and stay forever. When your job is up, it's time to go home. And that's exactly what we're pushing right now.
I don't know. Maybe call me crazy. I was there, but maybe Alligator Alcatraz could house them for a few weeks before they get some. They may change their mind about sticking around. Just a thought, Carrie.
You know what? That's how ICE. If you overstay your visa, ICE is going to find you, and they will find you in this case as well.
I just like him hang out in the Alligator Alcatraz for a little while, teach him a little bit of a lesson. Again, you punish some bad behavior, you stop having the bad behavior. Generally speaking, that is. This other story, Carrie, this kind of ticks me off quite a bit. Ruben Gallega, the senator from the state Arizona that you lived in, has now done something that Adam Schiff has done, and we believe Letitia James has done, used the tax code to their advantage, lied about their primary residence, and got some sort of sweetheart loan and agreement deals illegally, right?
Mm-hmm. I remember covering this. I ran against this guy in the Senate race, and the media just ignored the story. When he applied for his application for a mortgage in Arizona, he said Arizona was his main residence. When he applied for one in D.C., he said D.C. is his main residence. Now, there's a couple of problems there. If D.C. is your main residence and you're lying on a federal form, then you really cannot serve the people of Arizona. You have to be a resident of the state of Arizona to be a representative, which is what he was at the time. But furthermore, it was a special VA loan that was designed to help people who were part of the military afford to buy their first home. And he used that, according to documents, to buy a nearly $1 million home in the D.C. area. And said it was his main residence. It had to be your main residence to get that sweet deal on the mortgage. And when he did that, he basically took away, I think it was over $900,000 is what the loan was, that ability for another veteran or military member to get that money, because there's only so much money in the program, and he took it away from others who deserved it. So I think he needs to fess up and explain, where does he really live? Is his main residence in D.C. or is it in Arizona? And if he lied about that, that is a crime, and I think he should be investigated. I think it's worse in his case than even Schiff's, because in his case, he kept that money from going to a deserving veteran.
Indeed. He can be unethical. We can even call him a scumbucket if you want. But I think when you say you lie in a federal form, you've broken the law. Look at Hunter Biden. He lied on his federal form for the firearm. He was going to go to jail if Joe Biden didn't step in and pardon his own son. And they tried to crucify President Trump over a similar, they said he misstated the value of Mar-a-Lago, and they tried to throw him in jail for that. Meanwhile, you have a U.S. senator doing it, you have another U.S. senator in California doing it, and you have the chief prosecutor, Letitia James, in the state of New York doing the same thing. And the media doesn't seem to want to cover those folks.
Nope, they don't. It's it's always the same. The Democrats get away with murder, and they go after the America First Republicans. And it's just the American people, though, are onto it, and they're really sick of seeing this kind of hypocrisy. And so hopefully I already know they're demanding it, because I'm out and about with people every day, and they're saying, when are we going to see some accountability and justice? And so I think that day is coming, and I'm looking forward to it.
Carrie, I love you. I wish you were true. I wish it were true. My problem is when you were on this side, remember you were a journalist for a while, you remember, we want to see some perp. I'm going to pound the table on this till my face is blue and the show is dead in the ground, because we want to see politicians perp walked. For some reason, they get to D.C. and they can do almost anything they want to do, get caught, they apologize, and they walk free. Us? Hell no. We do some of the things they do, we're in jail. January 6th. Yeah. I'll give you illegal stock trading. Nancy Pelosi is illegally stock trading. Her husband is as well. These folks walk when we be in jail. I want a perp walk, Carrie. I don't know.
I think the reason they walk is because it's both Democrats and Republicans who are guilty of some of the same things. And so they don't want to vote to move things forward and, investigate somebody when there's a lot of people on the other side of the aisle who are guilty of the same thing. This is a corrupt, dirty town. And thank God for President Trump, but he's being met with, judges who are crooked or who are trying to run the executive branch from the courts. And it's very difficult. I'm in a fight right now. We're trying to right size this agency, and we're getting met every step of the way by a judge who, I think is politically motivated, wants to stop President Trump, wants to stop us from enacting his agenda. And we're going to continue to fight back. But we do need accountability, or the people will just give up on the whole dang system. And I believe that accountability is coming. I believe you called it perp walks. I'd like to see justice is what I call it. And that means if you've been found guilty, if you've done something wrong, you're investigated and you're actually sentenced to time. And I think it's going to come starting with maybe even potentially Barack Obama.
Expand on that.
That might be the biggest bit of justice the world could see with what he's accused of doing and what he did in that coup against President Trump. I'm looking forward to seeing some justice, especially right there. And frankly, I'd like to see justice when it comes to our elections, our rigged elections dating back at least to 2020, possibly earlier, and all of the shenanigans in our elections across the country. We need to see justice for that. We need to see people who cheated in elections prosecuted and thrown in jail for what they've done.
Yeah, I love to see it. I think with what Trump arranged and figured out with the Supreme Court, not arranged, but figured out with the Supreme Court, there is some sort of presidential immunity that would probably apply to Obama as well. But it doesn't apply to Hillary Clinton because she was never president. Much to her own disbelief, she was never actually elected president. So I would lock her up. Let's start with that. That would be a great perp walk because she was complicit, maybe even conspiratorial in the exact thing you talked about Obama. Kerry, great having you. Really good to see you, my friend.
Good to be on with you as well, Eric.
And
Thanks.
we will see you again soon. Keep doing the great work, everyone. Kerry Lake, everybody. Always good having Kerry Lake on. But if you're stressed about back taxes, maybe you missed the April 15 deadlines or your books are a complete mess, don't wait. And don't worry, the IRS is cracking down. Penalties add up fast, 5% per month, up 25% if you just simply forget to file or choose not to file. But there is help. Tax Network USA can take the burden off your shoulders and stop the spiral before it gets worse. They've helped thousands of Americans, whether you're an employee in a business, a small business owner yourself, or haven't filed in years. Messy books, no problem. They've seen it all, and they know exactly how to clean it all up with direct access to powerful IRS programs and expert negotiators on your side. Tax Network USA knows how to win. You'll get a free consultation, and if you qualify, they may even be able to reduce or eliminate what you owe. More importantly, they'll help protect you from wage garnishments or bank levies. So don't wait for the next IRS letter. Call that number right there on your screen, 1-800-905-8000, or visit tnusa.com/RAV, tnusa.com/RAV to talk to a real tax expert at Tax Network USA. Take the pressure off yourself. Let the folks over at Tax Network USA handle your tax issues. Before we go to break, I want to remind you about the podcast we put up every day. We have a bunch of other stuff over there on YouTube, Rumble, all over the place. You must subscribe, though. Just subscribe on YouTube. There's a bunch of stuff that's going to come up. I got some... do I do it now? Nah, I'm going to hold off. There's something big coming. Something really, really big coming. Also, always give us a call. 888-601-0032. Always toll free. Speak your mind, folks. You might be on TV. We'll hear you. We listen to you. We actually kind of book the show, develop the show around what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear. Always good to have you. All right, folks, we'll be back in 2.5 minutes.
Is your body ready for summer?
We're gonna build a body you can be proud of. You just give me 30 minutes a day for 21 days, and I promise you, the weight will come off.
This is 21 Day Fix, the perfect program to get you summer ready.
I am in perfect shape for my bikini. I had that sexy little beef.
Get simple fitness, simple nutrition, fast results in just 21 days.
Get ready for summer with 21 Day Fix. This week, try it free at 21dayfix.com. That's 21dayfix.com.
Being single for years, what would it do to you? Would it make you sad? Would Would it make you lose hope? Would it make you feel disconnected? I wouldn't know. Because I'm using datemyage.com. Grab your phone or laptop. Go to Date My Age. Get started for free.
Join datemyage.com today.
Some people are worried that they won't be able to get food, whether it's because of food shortages or rising prices or, God forbid, even a disaster. But right now, check this out. This tote right here, it's got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and even snacks for 4 weeks. And right now, when you get one of these 4-week food survival kits, you'll get a second kit completely free. Now, you see that QR code right there? Scan it now to claim this deal while supplies last. These kits last up to 25 years. The food tastes absolutely amazing and ships for free. So go on, scan the QR code so you can get this deal before it ends.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face. And what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes. And I did this to my father. We were at home, so we applied it to his under eye bags, and let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view, and now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 1-800-854-0295.
Well, remember I told you yesterday, right? The President of the United States loves the 4 o'clock Eastern hour, because there it is right there, the Roosevelt Room at the White House. Trump is going to come out and sign an executive order bringing back the presidential fitness test. Remember that when you were a kid? Yeah, the presidential fitness test. Well, he's gonna bring that back. He wants all our young kids getting physically fit and safe. That's a great idea. Great idea, by the way, folks. So in due time, we'll go right to that when it happens. But my next guest is an award-winning investigative journalist, one of the best journalists ever to walk this planet, folks. I say it every single time. She has her own podcast called Going Rogue with Lara Logan. Lara, really good to have you back, my friend. Again, I don't want to be rude, but if Trump comes out, we're going to cut over there. But in the meantime,
yes.
Carrie Lake threw something in right at the end of the interview saying that they believe that President Obama may be on the hook for some sort of conspiracy, racketeering, who knows, for what they found out going back to the 2020 election, rigging the election. What are your thoughts on this, and is it worth pursuing?
Okay, Eric, how can you even ask me, is it worth pursuing? Come on. We're talking about a seditious conspiracy. It's not treason because we're not at war. But in peacetime, well, I mean, we're at war, but it's a covert sort of clandestine war, right? It's not a typical conventional war that we're used to seeing. But it is nevertheless the betrayal of our country. I mean, the United States, since 1776, when the founding fathers, by some miracle of God, provided for this possibility in the Constitution, we've never actually seen this happen. This is a real coup from within the United States to take over this government, to unseat a lawfully elected president. They went after the National Security Advisor, who was a 3-star general, who had served his country with loyalty and distinction. And they fabricated a legal case against them. I mean, how can anybody say, is it worth pursuing? If you don't pursue this, this country is done.
Okay. So allow me to explain why I said it that way. Because first of all, I wanted to tee you up because I knew that would get you a little get your blood pressure going. But also because Trump very wisely went to the Supreme Court and got presidential immunity. All right. So you can go after him. But likely what the Supreme Court decided was you can go after Trump. It's not going to work. You can go after Obama. It's not going to work. However, what I was hoping you'd jump into is find out who he was conspiring with and go after those folks, namely Hillary Clinton.
Yes. Well, not just Hillary Clinton, right? All of them. You want all of them. You know why? Because you don't want anyone to get away with this type of behavior and think that they can do it again. because it has cost the American people in so many ways. Well, I think what you're referring to, Eric, is that meeting inside the White House, right, that General Flynn has talked about, where they all basically, the FBI had come up with nothing on General Flynn. They knew that it was nothing, and yet they all said, well, let's find something to get him with. That was one meeting. I believe there was another meeting where they basically discussed this, and they said, make it stick, figure it out. So what presidential immunity does for President Obama is that it might make him immune from prosecution, but what it doesn't do is make him immune from telling the truth. Right. So he can no longer, if he chooses to use, this is my understanding, I'm not an attorney, but this is what attorneys
I hate to be rude. I hate to do it, but
no,
the Commander-in-Chief. Let's take a listen.
He takes precedence.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
There's some very important things for our country. Nobody knows LT, right? LT, greatest ever. Lawrence Taylor, you look good. You could play right now, I think, LT. You only look that way. Well, I'm delighted to be here with some of the truly great sports legends of all time as we formally announce the newest members of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. This is an important step in our mission to make America healthy again. It's something that's very important, what we're doing, very important. Dating back to the administration of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, this council has championed the vigor and strength and vitality of the American people. Today, we continue that very proud tradition. This group is led by two-time major champion and one of the greatest players in the world, one of the highest ranked, and he just had a phenomenal Open Championship, as you probably saw, shooting one round that wasn't so good, and then he came back with about a 65 or something. He was getting a birdie on every hole. They were worried he might not make the cut, and he made the cut by about 200 strokes. It was pretty amazing. And he had a great week, actually. And he's also the longest hitter of a golf ball, I think ever, but, they say ever. I would say ever. And the longest in the world today, and it's Bryson DeChambeau. He's a great guy, been my friend for a long time. And from his storied amateur career, where he won the U.S. Amateur, I think once or twice. Did you win it?
It was once, and then the NCAAs as well.
Okay, you won a lot of other championships, but U.S. Amateur champion. And then, as you know, he won at Winged Foot, won the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. And Bryson has always been a phenomenal ambassador to sports and to golf, but generally to life, in my opinion. He's a smart guy and a good guy, great guy, loves our country. We're also pleased to be joined by Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. Bobby, you do a great job. He's got some big things happening, and he's got some big statements to be made very shortly in terms of, over the next few months, in terms of what they've been doing and finding answers to some very, very important questions. Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, who's phenomenal, wherever you may be, Linda. Hi, Linda. What are you doing back there? And look, you've been reading about her exploits and the job that she's been doing, and we're very proud of her. Council Executive Director, Catherine Granito. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. And several other new members of the council, including J.D. is here, our fantastic Vice President, and Scott Bessent, and we're making a lot of deals. We're making deals for trillions and trillions. Nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. We just made a couple of others a little while ago. I don't know if you'd be interested right now. I won't even bother telling you. This is about sports and about health. One of the best defensive players ever, I think probably acknowledged to be the greatest defensive player in the history of the NFL, a friend of mine for a long time. Too long, right, Lawrence? Lawrence Taylor, he's an incredible guy. And just been my friend a long time, haven't we? Huh? Knew him forever. One of the most accurate kickers in NFL history, a young guy still. He can kick it long. I think he's, I guess he's considered the best there is in the business, Harrison Butker. So, Harrison, where are you, Harrison? He's a handsome guy, by the way. It's usually not my thing, but he is a good-looking sucker. one of the truly greatest golfers ever to play on the LPGA Tour. A lot of people say the greatest female player ever, and a lot of people would say just one of the best players ever. She's phenomenal. I've played a lot of golf with Annika Sorenstam, and she's amazing. Just had an really storied career. Hall of Famer, by easily a Hall of Famer, by the way, right at the top of the list. So it's great to have you with us, Annika, and say hello to the family. And then she was here not so long ago with Gary Player, where she got the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and so did he. He's won 168 tournaments and 18 majors, 9-9, and she's the same in terms of the women's game. But that was a great time. It was a great honor to give it to you. You really deserved it. It's the highest medal you can get outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's the military version, and the other is the Presidential Medal, and you got it. So thank you very much. 14-time WWE World Champion, and he's a man who you're not going to mess around with. Even Bryson said, I think I'll take a pass on him, right? You're going to take. And he's another one who's been my friend for a long time. He's really an amazing athlete. Triple H. There he is. Oh, that's still very strong. He's a strong guy. And it's great to have you. And you felt very strongly about this, about the council.
100%.
Yep. Well, it's a great honor to have you. Offensive lineman, NFL, very respected, very smart. Cody Campbell. Thank you, Cody, very much. Thank you very much. In addition to the people here, we have other council members that want to just pay their respects. One of the greatest players and athletes ever. You could say, when you look at records, there's probably nothing like it. Tiger and Jack. This is Jack. Tiger was here not so long ago getting the Presidential Medal of Freedom also. He's a fantastic guy. And on the council, we have Jack Nicklaus, and he sends his regards. We have Gary Player, one of the greats. Nellie Corder, who's a phenomenal young, I think you'd say great young player. Annika, right? She's a fantastic person, too. NFL icons, Tony Romo, also a great football player. Quarterback, also a great golfer. Nick Bosa, who's, you know him, he's a modern-day version of Lawrence. What do you think? He's pretty good, right, Lawrence? Pretty good. He is. Saquon Barkley was on the council, and Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback, who is really, he's been fantastic. He's been, when he's not injured, he's great. He's got to stay healthy. But he's a great guy. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is on the commission. NFL Commissioner Gary Bettman, and the great one Wayne Gretzky is on, and a man who also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, Mariano Rivera. And when I looked at his record, it was unbelievable. The Sandman. My wife said, "Why do they keep playing the Sandman when he walks in?" And I said, "Because he just puts the batter to sleep." He was great. When you look at his record compared to second, and Raleigh Fingers was great, and he was really great. But when you look at the record, boy, Mariano had a record. I've never seen anything like it. He was so high up. The order that I'll sign today in a few moments directs the council to develop strategies to improve America's physical fitness and renew the American spirit, excellence, competitiveness, and sportsmanship. To that end, I'm pleased to announce that we're officially restoring the Presidential Fitness Test and the Presidential Fitness Award, and it's going to be a very big thing. From the late 1950s until the 2013, graduate scholars all across our country competed against each other in the Presidential Fitness Test, and it was a big deal. This was a wonderful tradition, and we're bringing it back. I think Bryson and everybody here wanted to see if we could bring that back, and it's turned out to be very popular to do. My administration's also pressing forward with the important reforms in sports and athletics, and the group behind me and the others that I mentioned and others that I've asked to join. We have many great athletes I've asked to join the council, and we're going to let some of them come in. But they're going to also be working on college football in terms of what happened. It's a mess. What happened? It's what they're doing with college football, and the fans are upset about it, and players are being taken from team after team, and being traded around like playing cards. And a lot of money's passing and nobody knows what's happening. So these people behind me are going to be very much involved in figuring that whole thing out and working on it and trying to bring some sanity to that incredible, not only the football, college sports, very, very bad for women. Very bad what's happening, because now all of a sudden there's no women that are able to get the money that they're talking about. You know, it seems to be going mostly to football, some basketball, and women's sports are being totally decimated. We know that, Annika, you know, with this. It's all going into football and some to basketball, and everything else is being left behind. And women are being left behind, and lesser sports are being left behind, and the Olympics is being decimated because that was like training for the Olympics, and now we're not going to have that many of those sports left. The smaller sports, they're almost going to be completely wiped out. This is crazy what's going on. We banned men from competing in women's sports, and last week the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee announced that they will be complying with that order, so there won't be men playing in women's sports. That seemed like an easy one. They say it's an 80-20 issue during the campaign. I said, no, that's not 80-20. That's 97-3. Maybe it's 98-2, perhaps. And last Thursday, we terminated third-party pay-for-play schemes in collegiate athletics and effectively we saved college sports, but now we have to we have to heal it because it's really a mess. It's a real mess. This council will play an important role in shaping these new policies and ensuring that we preserve the American athletic tradition for many generations to come. And in the years ahead, we'll have the chance to showcase our nation's athletic dominance in the world stage as we host the America 250. So we have America 250, and we have, it's going to be incredible, the Patriot Games. But we have the Ryder Cup, we have the President's Cup, we have the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So we have the World Cup here, we have the 2028 Olympics. So when they cheated on the election and they picked somebody that wasn't supposed to be there, I was very upset before that because I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. I was the one that did it. I can't say I got America 250. It just happened to be 200. I'd like to take credit for that, but I don't think I'll be able to. But we have a big thing coming up. But I was very upset because I got them, and it was skipped an election season. And so it took place in the next term after the term that we were supposed to have. And I was extremely angry. And then when I won, I said, wait a minute, I think I just picked up the Olympics and I just picked up the World Cup. So it worked out sort of cool. But I want to again, thank everybody in the council. They want to work, too. These are people that really, we only do it by request. And people, they want to work and they want to make things better. And I hope they can make college sports better. They can heal it. They can find a solution. It's not going to be that easy. But you have a lot of smart people. So I'd like to begin by introducing Bryson to say a few words. And then we'll have Triple H, and we'll have a couple of other people say something. And then I'm going to sign that good-looking couple of pieces of paper, and it means a lot. It's going to be a very important council, and thank you all for being here. Bryson, please.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And first off, I'd like to say thank you to President Trump and Vice President Vance for your support and this initiative and council. And to be honest, I never would have thought that this opportunity would have been here right at our doorstep. We have an opportunity at being the 70th anniversary of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition to literally change the fabric of kids' lives. And our first initiative is to bring back and reignite the President's Fitness Test, and then also reestablish some key other metrics on guidelines around building some communities, and also, again, with the President's initiatives around college, we think we can help in that regard too. But we've got a great established council with us that we believe we can change the fabric of our communities and kids' livelihoods for the future generations that are to come. I can't thank you guys enough, and looking forward to making massive changes in kids' lives and in our America's future. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
First of all, I'd like to say the same. Thank you to President Trump. Thank you for this honor. I'm humbled by it. I'm truly honored to be on this. Vice President Vance, thank you very much. Secretary Kennedy, truly appreciate all that everybody is doing for the health and wellness of the entire country. For me, since I was 14, this has been such an important part of my life. Health, fitness, sports, nutrition, all of it. I think learning that at a young age sets you up for success in life. And without it, you're at a lesser place for it. So I look forward to the opportunity to do this. I look forward to the opportunity to help make our youth healthy, help get them engaged in sports, and let them learn what it takes to be successful in life. So thank you very much for the honor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bobby, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. In December of 1960, a month after he won the election, my uncle, who was about to be president, wrote an article for Sports Illustrated called The Soft American, and he was lamenting the fact that America had prided itself on its beef jerky toughness, and that we were losing that. We were falling behind Europeans, we were falling behind other nations, and he was signaling with that article that he was going to make physical fitness of our kids the centerpiece of his administration. And I'm so grateful to President Trump for bringing back this tradition. I was talking to Paul before we went in here. We were part of the Council on Physical Fitness when we were kids. And you had to do sit-ups, you had to do pull-ups, you had to do shuttle runs, you had to do 1 mile runs. And they awarded the top 15% with a patch and with recognition and with certificates. And for me, it was a huge item of pride when I was growing up. And we need to reinstill that spirit of competition and that spirit and that commitment to nutrition and physical fitness. And I'm so grateful to President Trump for your leadership in bringing this back for our country.
Thank you very much. Honored representing the great women in sports, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President, Vice President Vance. This is truly an honor. I want to thank the team behind me here for giving us trust to be able to do this. Sport has always been part of my life, and the importance of living a healthy, active lifestyle cannot be any more important than nowadays. So thank you for the trust, and I can't wait to get to work to make a difference in kids' lives, but also in people's lives. I think the time is so important. Obesity is the highest it's ever been. Mental health, as we all know, the need ought to be tackled. So thank you for the trust, and look forward to going to work with the team behind me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Don. Lawrence, you want to say a few words? Come on up. Come on. He's a little shy, but once he gets going, nobody can stop.
No, that don't stop. I'm just proud to be on this team. I don't know why. I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, but I'm here to serve, and I'm here to serve you. Okay, so I'm going to do the best I can for as long as I can. Thank you very much.
Nobody like him. Come on, young superstar.
Obviously very excited to be here. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to serve on the council. Just excited to do my part to help make America healthy again, to help our youth be healthy and thrive and grow up and be great citizens of this country and be great family members and contribute to this great country. And I think you have to be strong in mind, in body, and soul. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. JD?
Okay, sure, sir. Well, thank you all, and thanks to the president for setting up this important commission. Thanks to all the great athletes for lending their credibility to it. I think all of us who have young kids at home just know that kids are healthier, they're happier, they do better when they're out there, they're being active, they're playing in sports, they're hanging out with their friends. I think all of us have thought at one point in the last few years that kids spend a little too much time on their phones, maybe a little bit too much time in front of the TV, and we just want kids to do better. We want them to be healthier, we want them to be happier, and we know that getting out there, playing in sports, and being active and healthy and physically fit is a critical part of this. So all due credit to the president and Secretary Kennedy's leadership. This is all about just making our kids better citizens, better people, and happier in their daily lives. And I think this is a great team to get it accomplished. Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's sign this. Where did they come on? We'll sign this for Linda. She's doing pretty well, right? Linda's amazing. Good job. Okay, we got it. I think we're good. We'll pass them around, please. Okay, you good?
Thank you.
That is not signed with an auto pen. Please no auto pen. We don't want auto pens in the White House. Okay? Any questions, please? About I think probably.
What has sports meant to you? And did you have a sports hero growing up?
Maybe Lawrence Taylor. It could be Lawrence. Or I know him so well. A lot of sports heroes. It meant a lot. I was always a person that loved playing sports. I was good at sports. When you were really focused on sports, you thought about nothing else. There was nothing else outside. It kept you. And to an extent, this is one of the reasons I like golf. You get away for a couple of hours. I play quickly and get through it. And for 2 hours, you're not thinking about all of the nonsense and all of the important things, frankly, but it cleans your mind. No, I think sports is so important. I think what this council is doing is going to be very important, and it gives you a little exercise, sometimes a lot of exercise. It's a great thing. It's a great thing. Sports are, you learn about people and you learn about how people compete. Now, it doesn't mean that if somebody's not a good athlete, a lot of people just are not good athletes, so they can't compete. But you learn about the people playing sports and playing sports with and against some. So I've always loved it. It's been very important to me. These people are, inspirations. These are the top people in their individual sports. The council itself, I mean, they have some of the greatest champions, for the most part, the greatest champions in their sport. So they really understand sports, and understanding it's very important. Thank you for the question. Yeah, please.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, can you talk about your plans for the new ballroom that was announced today?
Yeah.
And the $200 million, that's going to be paid for by yourself as
By
well
me,
as
yeah.
private donations?
It's a private thing, yeah. I'll do it, and we'll probably have some donors or whatever, but it's about $200 million. So we've been planning it for a long time. They've wanted a ballroom at the White House for more than 150 years, but there's never been a president that was good at ballrooms. I'm really good. In fact, I looked at one that we just built in Turnberry in Scotland, and it's incredible. We're good at building. I'm good at building things, and we'll get it built quickly and on time. It'll be beautiful, top of the line. We've retained the best architects and engineers, everything else. It'll be built over on the east side, and it will be beautiful. It'll be views of the Washington Monument. It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it, and pays total respect to the existing building, which I'm the biggest fan of. It's my favorite place. I love it. But they've wanted it, and when they have big events, you entertain the president of China or the president of any place, and you have big crowds. They've always had to get a tent. And you've probably been to some of them, Bobby. When it rains, it's a disaster. And the tent's 100 yards. That's more than a football field away from the main entrance. And people are schlopping down to the tent. It's not a pretty sight. The women with their lovely evening gowns, all of their hair all done, and they're a mess by the time they get. And they've always wanted to have it. And I said, in the first term, I said, if I get another shot at this, I'm going to do a ballroom. I was pretty busy in the first because I was running the country, and I was also fighting for survival with all of the lunatics I had to beat. But it worked out, obviously, it worked out very well because here we are. But I always said I was going to do something about the ballroom because they should have one. So we'll be leaving it. It'll be a great legacy project, and I think it'll be special. You saw some renderings of the initial. I think it'll be really beautiful.
No government dollars at all.
No government dollars, no.
Week between the
executive order, trade, Russia, Gaza, but also the family of Virginia Giuffre released a statement overnight in response to some of the comments that you made this week. You said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia?
No, I didn't know. I mean, I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. But no, I don't know really why. But I said, if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing, I didn't like it. And we threw him out. We said, we don't want him, at the place. This is a story that's been known for many years, as you know. But it's, I didn't like it that he was doing that. Yeah, please.
If Canada moves forward, Palestinian state,
say it again.
If Canada moves forward with recognizing the Palestinian state, is that a deal breaker for you?
Well, we're going to see. No, I didn't like what they said, but that's their opinion. I didn't like that. Not a deal breaker, but we haven't spoken to Canada today. He's called, and we'll see. But we have made a few deals today that are excellent deals for the country. We're taking in literally trillions of dollars for the country. This is making our country very rich and respected again. We have, I tell these people, and I say it as much as I have to say it, but every leader is at NATO, and I was in the Middle East with the three great countries, three great leaders, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, and everybody said the same thing. All of the NATO countries, essentially, they said that we were a dead country. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country in the world. Look at you people. We're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're doing great. Yeah, do you have a...
Canada currently. What's the holdup with the negotiations with Canada?
Well, they have to pay a fair rate. That's all. It's very simple. They have been charging very, very high tariffs to our farmers, some over 200%. And they've been treating our farmers very badly. They've been treating our country very badly for years. And look, we like Canada. I love Canada. I have so many friends in Canada. But they've been very poorly led. They've been very, very poorly led. And all we want is fairness for our country. That's all. They want to be under the, as we call it, the Golden Dome. And I said, well, you're going to have to pay for that. They want a lot of things from our country, and for years we did it. We basically protect them with our military. They spend very little money on their military, as you know, not an acceptable amount of money. Yeah, please.
Thanks a lot, Mr. President. Your tariffs policy goes into effect tomorrow.
Yeah.
As you know, a federal appellate court today heard oral arguments about whether or not you had the authority to unilaterally impose those tariffs. I'm not going to get you to weigh in on the legal arguments, but you're weighing your decision to do that, your authority to do that, based on a 1977 law. It's never been invoked before. Why didn't you invoke this law?
Well, we've been winning all along.
I just want to ask you, why didn't you invoke this law in your first term? You could have taken in billions upon billions of dollars in your first term, but you waited until your second term.
Yeah, because in my first term, I was fighting lunatics like you who were trying to do things incorrectly and inappropriately to a president that was duly elected. And we did do certain tariffs in the first term. If you look at China, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. But when COVID came, the last thing I was going to do is tell France and Italy and Spain and a couple of other countries that we're going to hit you with tariffs. We had to fight the COVID situation when that came. But if you look at my first term, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of tariffs, but you people didn't cover it very well.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm representing the foreign poll today. I'm asking you a question on foreign policy. The first one, do you plan to re-engage diplomatically with Iran, go with direct talks with them, or are you happy with the current situation, having no deal with Iran?
Well, Iran has been acting very badly. They were decimated. Their nuclear capability, that potential, which could have happened within 3 or 4 weeks, was decimated. It's been obliterated. The Atomic Energy Commission said the place is just decimated. Now they can start again, but they'd start in different sites because they were hit. I tell you what, the job these pilots did with their B-2 bombers, those unbelievable machines, they traveled 36 hours without stop. And they hit every single target. Every bomb hit they went right down the chutes. And then, as you know, we shot 30 rockets from submarines that were hundreds of miles away, and they hit every target. So they can start again, but they haven't been saying the right thing. I will say Iran has not been saying the right thing. They have not been speaking nicely, and they should be. Yeah, please.
President Powell not lowering interest rates again, and many people say that he's playing politics with the futures of millions.
Well, he
of
is.
Americans.
We call him Too Late. He's too late. It's his new nickname. He's Too Late Powell. He's a terrible Federal Reserve Chairman. Not only that, he's building a building. He's at $2.9 billion. It's actually 3.1 if you include other areas that are essentially the same thing. Way over budget, has no idea what he's doing. And I would say he's probably good at that compared to what he does with interest rates. But, you know, we have him there, and it was a mistake. I put him in, and then Biden extended him. And Biden only extended him because he knew I couldn't stand him. And that turned out to be not a good thing for Biden. Although he did lower interest rates just prior to the election. Didn't work out too well for them. But he did lower them pretty substantially just prior to the election. No, he's a political hack, not very good. He's not a smart guy, Brian.
Mr. President, sports fans have been very supportive to go back to the original names of Cleveland Indians, the Washington Redskins.
Oh, I love that. I love the sound of that.
Well,
I do the Washington Redskins. I think they should do it. I told the mayor and I told people that they should bring back the name. If they bring back the name, you'll have a lot of excitement. And I mean, Cleveland Indians, how about that? That was an original franchise, 1903 or something, 1906, an original, the Cleveland Indians. And what do? They changed the name from Indians. What's wrong with the word Indian? You know who is upset about it? The Indians are upset about it. They're upset about Redskins, too. So Redskins, I guess you'd say it was a little bit lesser of a case, but people want to see the Redskins, and the Indians want to see the Redskins back. No, I recommend it. I was asked that question the other day. The Washington Redskins, it's a fabled franchise. And now, I don't even know what the hell their last name is. What are they to Commanders or something? Is it Commanders? It's not a good name.
About President Biden, sir. About President Biden, sir. May I ask you a question?
Wait a minute. No, not you. You.
Mr. President, Kamala Harris, as you know, is not running for governor of California. She's not going to do it. What do you see in her political future, sir?
Well, she can't speak. She can't talk. She can't do an interview. I thought it was a very strange campaign that we had. But, you know, I had two of them. We were up by like this massive number of points on Biden, and they said, let's change to Kamala. Nobody knew who Kamala was. Nobody knew her last name, Harris. And they said, we're going to get Vice President Harris. Everyone said, who the hell is Harris? They only knew her by the first name. But no, I thought she was a terrible candidate. Look, don't forget, she didn't really get the nomination. I mean, that whole nomination was strange. She was the first one out. You know, she took a good amount of points with her when she announced, but nobody knew her. And once they got to know her, she dropped out very shortly after she started. And she started with a pretty good, you know, she was like in second or third place. But I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't call her a skilled politician. Would you?
She's also coming out with a book. Any plans to buy it?
I don't know. I think I'm going to buy it. I'd love to see it. No. I'd find it. Look, I find everything in politics interesting. I sort of enjoy politics. She wasn't a skilled person. You know, you have skilled politicians, really skilled politicians, and then you have some that aren't. And she was put in a very tough position, I think. She did have a 6-week honeymoon. They told me, the pros said, you know what, she's going to have a 6-week. And she did. She was like untouchable in terms of everybody thought great. But she didn't do any interviews or anything, which was strange. Not even friendly interviews with friendly reporters like her right there, a really friendly reporter. And you know what happened? People said, what's wrong with her? Why isn't she doing? She made a mistake. She should have done interviews. She didn't run a great campaign, but we beat Biden, and then we had to beat, nobody's beaten two. I had to beat two. That's like Dana White. The great Dana White has a fight, and he has a fighter that's getting the hell knocked out of him. They say, well, let's take him out and put somebody else in. Didn't seem fair to me at the time, but where are we? We're in the White House. So, I mean, you know, so it worked out.
If I may start a very serious question here. Russia today hit Kyiv with missiles and drones, more than 100 people, kids.
I think it's Russia, I think it's disgusting what they're doing. I think it's disgusting. This is Biden's war. It's not my war. But I said if I get in, I'll try and get the thing stopped. But I think what Russia's doing is very sad. A lot of Russians are dying. you have a lot of Russians. More Russians are dying, but Russians are dying, Ukrainians are dying. You know, the United States isn't really involved in that war. It shouldn't be. And by the way, I made a deal with NATO where NATO pays us for everything that we send. We send them ammunition, missiles, etc. And we're not paying anything for that war. But I will tell you this, it should be stopped. It's a disgrace. And the ones that are dying are they're losing 7,000 now. It was 5,000. They're losing now 7,000 soldiers a week, Ukrainian soldiers and Russian soldiers. And they're also losing people now in the towns and cities because Putin's hitting them with rockets. No, I think it's disgraceful.
You have a 10-day deadline. You imposed a 10-day deadline.
Yeah, we have about 8
Does he care about
days. Yeah, we're going to put sanctions. I don't know that sanctions bother him. You know, they know about sanctions. I know better than anybody about sanctions and tariffs and everything else. I don't know if that has any effect, but we're going to do it. Europe is extremely upset. But this is a war that should have never happened. This is a war that wouldn't have happened if I were president. And this is Biden's war. This was a stupid war to get into. Should have never gotten into this war.
Stephen Coffey's traveling to Israel.
Yeah, going to Israel, and then he's going to Russia, believe it or not.
Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that what is occurring there is a genocide. Do you agree?
Oh, it's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing. People are very hungry. You know, the United States gave $60 million for food, and it's a shame because nobody, you know, I don't see the results of it. And we gave it to people that in theory are watching over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food. But we gave $60 million a couple of weeks ago. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody said thank you, but I didn't need the thank you. I just wanted the people to get fed. And we're helping out financially with that situation. It's a terrible situation. So just to conclude, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank you for being here. This is a great group of people, and it's a good feeling. You know, when we first came to office, this country was really in trouble. And now we're rich as hell, and we're doing amazing things, and we really are. We're the hottest country in the world, and I like that. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
President, can I ask you about lightning rounds, Mr. President? Can I ask you about lightning rounds?
Thank you, President, for witness testimony, President.
Well, that's Trump from the Roosevelt Room, by the way. That's right off, it's in the West Wing of the White House. So right off the Oval Office, there's a little room in between, the reading room in between, and then the Roosevelt Room. I've interviewed him a couple of times in that room. Funny story, one time I went to the Oval Office, said hello to Margot, who's sitting up front. She said, go right in. President's in the reading room, went through the Oval Office into the reading room, and he was eating lunch in there, and I swear to God, big bowl of French fries, with a bowl of ketchup and an empty bowl, and he would take a French fry, dip it in the ketchup, and put the end of the French fry, the part he touched, into another bowl. True story in that reading room. And Ivanka Trump was in that room while we were hanging out as well. We have Steve Bannon. This is a pleasure. We only have a lot of time, but we got Mr. Stephen K. Bannon, who's been standing by listening to the president talk about bringing our young kids up healthy again. Steve, good to have you, my friend. Well, your thoughts on Lawrence Taylor, Bryson DeChambeau, Triple H in the same room with Trump. He loves his athletes, doesn't he?
Absolutely incredible. And our own Brian Glenn got 2 questions. I thought we would actually come back and you'd be on top of the desk, your anchor desk, doing one-arm push-ups, bowling. You know, you're a beast. That gun show that you have, I thought you'd be a beast. That was great. Getting back to JFK's, getting back to having people fit. And what a great crowd. What a great group of people he brought there today. Just incredible. Shows you what the president can do.
Yeah,
right?
I love Brian's question.
Physical fitness.
Brian's question was great. What about bringing the Redskins back? What about bringing the Cleveland Indians name back? I think America is ready for that.
I only call them the Redskins and the Indians. I've never referred to them as the Guardians and Commanders. It's not acceptable. They are the Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians. So, naturally, what did you think about the first answer for? I know Lawrence Taylor was there, but the answer of his favorite athlete, I thought it was Arnold Palmer. What's your take on that?
He's a New Yorker. Lawrence Taylor was an iconic New York athlete for so long. Hey, Steve, can I show you a fun video real quick? You have a return? You have a monitor? I can show you a video?
Sure.
Hey, Benny, roll that video from Elizabeth Warren earlier today. Look at Steve. She's kind of hanging out. She's got Grassley's going to lean back on that table right there. Whoa! There she goes. Down goes Pocahontas. Down goes Pocahontas. I mean, I shouldn't laugh when someone falls, but after all, it is Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas.
Pocahontas. She could have hurt herself right there.
Look at even the lady in a wheelchair wheeled over to try and help her out. Sorry, I'm a child.
Just
Steve.
another
I'm a child.
day. Just another day in the.
I laughed.
Just another. You wonder who sends all those stupid memes. It's Bowling. He's on top of it. Eric, no, you're the best. I'm so pumped up that the president had this event today. Just incredible. You know he's going to go in the Oval Office and hang out with those guys for a while and tell sea stories. So it's a great afternoon at the White House.
Hey, man,
Brian Glenn got two questions.
Have
great
show. I don't want to steal any of your time. Love you. And I know you got that big badass cold open going. And we will see you again, I don't know, maybe tomorrow.
Let's do it tomorrow. Eric Bowling, thank you so much, sir. We've got a great cold open. Before we get to the cold open, President Trump, there's some serious questions at the end. Very serious question about Russia and Ukraine, and a very serious question about Gaza. And when they tossed the question about genocide, President Trump said, no, it's not genocide. He did not say that. I thought that was quite interesting, very controversial. And President Trump said with the Russians, hey, it's just not acceptable what they're doing. A massive hit on Kiev last night as Zelensky is now calling for regime change in Russia. We are jam-packed for the next 2 hours. We have a pretty incredible cold open. So much is going on today. Let's go ahead and let it rip, guys, and we'll bring in Mike Davis and Natalie Winters.
The July 4th flash floods killed more than 130 people, including dozens of children, and nearly all of the deaths were in Kerr County. Today, its emergency management coordinator confirmed he was out sick when the flooding began, saying his illness began on July 2nd.
I had already requested and been approved for personal time off on July the 3rd to fulfill a commitment to my elderly father. However, due to my progressing illness, I remained home to recover. I stayed in bed throughout July the 3rd and did not participate in the regularly scheduled 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Texas Emergency Management Coordination Center coordination calls. My supervisors and Sheriff's Office leadership were aware that I was off duty.
Apparently, based on my reading of it, these documents were stored in an annex. I don't know where that is or who oversees it. And they were being kept in burn bags, which I assume is material that's set to be incinerated. What's the truth? What's happening? What did you see in the documents?
Well, you see, you're bringing attention to the burn bag to me for the first time, and I'll leave that up to the FBI to describe, but I think it's evidence of the great depth that the deep state will go to cover up weaponization that was going on in the FBI and the executive branch of government generally under the Obama administration. And I want to thank Kash Patel of the FBI and Pan Bondi, our Attorney General, for releasing these documents, because after 8 years, and it took us 3 years to get this information, but after 8 years, I think we need maximum transparency on all the schemes that were going on 10 years ago to either stop Trump from being elected or after he was elected to ruin his presidency. And that's what this Durham report is all about. And it gives information that Comey FBI had 8-10 years ago that they never followed up on. And it actually brings attention to the fact that there was either a Clinton conspiracy to make this happen, or a Russian disinformation. But either way, it was an attempt to stop Trump, and it also proves that the FBI had a hand in it. And now, after these 8 years, 3 years of my trying to get the document, we know that there was the Steele dossier paid for by the Democrats and the Clinton campaign, that it was all effort of total distraction, and to make it look like Russia was playing a very major role in helping Trump to be elected, and now we know none of that was true. And now with this Durham report annex out, it finally proves that the FBI was covering up.
Yeah, look, Brianna, it's very clear what's happening here. You know, you listen to that sound that we're hearing there from the emergency coordinator. It's just passing the buck. That's what's going on here. And very clear that this was a county, Kirk County, where Mystic Camp was, where all those RV parks were, where all the people were streaming in for the July 4th events, was not prepared. They were not on any phone calls from the Texas Department of Emergency Management, while other counties were. They ignored emails to get on calls. And this is what I asked the mayor about. I asked him, because I have been asking the mayor of this, and I have been asking county officials, were they on calls here with the Texas Department of Emergency Management, which was making preparations for this storm? And when I caught up with the mayor today, just before this hearing, which is taking place behind me, I asked him, did you see that email at 1 o'clock in the morning saying for you to get on a call on July the 3rd with Texas Department of Management officials to get on a call to talk about the weather concerns? He said he missed that email. Take a listen to some of what else he said to me.
And I did not receive a telephone call. Okay. I did receive an invitation.
Okay.
Which I've said, I wish I'd have seen it, but I didn't see it.
You didn't see the invitation?
I did not.
Your emails that were released, you saw
They were there.
They were there. It was at 1 a.m. that you got an email.
At 1 a.m.?
Yeah. From
I didn't know about that.
Texas Department of Emergency Management saying that there'd be a call at 10 a.m.
Okay. I didn't see those emails, I'm sorry.
And then later in the day, they sent an email with the decks.
Right.
I think it was like in the afternoon.
Right. And you review those.
Yeah.
And they say a moderate risk, up to 4 inches of rain.
But, like, I guess, had you seen that email, you would have been on the call, right? I mean,
I would have been on the call. I take responsibility for missing the email. I do.
And look, this is significant because finally we're getting some acknowledgement that perhaps things could have been better here, that the preparation could have been better. And why this is important, here is because there is a person sitting at the table behind me here at this hearing who's from a neighboring county. What he just said just a short time ago was that the reason why that county took this so much more seriously was that they were in contact with the Texas Department of Emergency Management. And it was based off of that, they had some concern that this was going to be worse. That did not happen in Kirk County and in Kerrville. None of the officials, it appears from everything we know now, were in contact with the National Weather Service and the day before with the Texas Department of Emergency Management. And there was a member of the legislature who asked a very significant question, and I'm going to wrap with this. He said, that's fine, what you guys did on the day of, on July 4th, the rescues, yes. But it is a question of what did you do to prevent the loss of life? And that remains still a big question.
In this great country, our system that was gifted to us by the framers of the Constitution should be one where the people of Texas are able to decide which elected officials have the ability and honor to represent them in Washington. Instead, Republican politicians want to choose their voters. That is wrong, and it will undermine the quality of life of the people of this great state. It has been said in the early days of the Republic that when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there is liberty. So this fight is not over, it's just beginning.
Yeah, it could make a huge difference. This, in fact, could win or maintain control for the Republicans in the House of Representatives. What are you talking about? Well, Texas has 38 congressional districts. Look at those that Trump won last year by at least 10 percentage points. Under the current lines, it's 25. Under the proposed lines, it's 30. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 potential pickup opportunities for the Republican Party. They are playing hardball at this particular point. And right now, it seems to me that Democrats are actually playing close to the Little League Pee-wee.
So 5 seats. What would 5 seats in Texas do for Republicans in Congress overall?
You might think 5 seats is just 5 seats, but keep in mind this. Margin to spare for the House majority. In 2020, the Democrats had 4 seats. 2022, Republicans had 4 seats. This time around, 2 seats for Republicans out of the 2024 elections. 5 seats can make all the difference in the world, and that is why Republicans in Texas providing 5 pickup seat opportunities could, in fact, make the difference between Republicans losing control of the House of Representatives and maintaining control of the House of Representatives.
And some voting shifts within Texas might be adding fuel to this.
Exactly right. They wouldn't necessarily be able to do this if, in fact, Republicans, Donald Trump did not do so much better among Latino voters last time around than he did in 2020, because 4 of the pickup opportunities are majority Hispanic seats. In 2024, get this, Donald Trump actually won Latino voters by 10 points in Texas. In 2020, it was Joe Biden who won him by 17 points. That's nearly a 30-point switcheroo. So this, in my mind, is fueling these potential pickup opportunities for Republicans. As I said at the beginning of this, Republicans are playing hardball. It's going to be interesting to see if Democrats can actually answer this, or are they going to be stuck in the Little League.
Thursday, 31 July, year of our Lord 2025. We've got so much we can't even get to our open today. I want to thank that cold open, absolutely magnificent. And Harry Enton, wow. Is he dropping truth bombs right there? A 30-point shift. 4 of the 5 pickups are Hispanic, big Hispanic concentrations and majorities, and 2 of them are down where you heard this, in the Rio Grande Valley, folks. So they're focused on this. We got so much to go through. We are jam-packed for the next 2 hours, so just buckle in. And as you know, we've got the recess appointments, all this stuff going on. I've got Mike Davis and Natalie Starff, because I do want to get into the bombshells that were dropped today. And Mike, we've got some work we're going to do with you on Jeff Clark and some other things in a moment. But I just want to go, Grassley, the man, better than anybody. And people in the Senate right now are a little put off because President Trump kind of went off on him about the blue slips. And once again, I don't think President Trump's being I don't think he's being properly briefed on this issue with the blue slips, but he went off on Grassley. But Grassley showed what a bulldog he is. 3 years, and you know how relentless he can be. 3 years to basically get declassified the Durham Annex or Appendix, which has got so many bombshells in it for Hillary Clinton, Brennan Clapper, the whole crew. Tell us about Grassley, the man, sir.
I worked for Senator Chuck Grassley twice. I opened his mail right out of college, and then I was his chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee 17 years later. I talked to Senator Grassley yesterday. I talked to him today. He is the same man he has been for, 65 years in politics, and he's never lost an election. He is dogged. He is determined. He is principled. And when he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it, as we just saw with his release of these Crossfire hurricane records. When I've been coming on your show, Steve, and we've been talking about how the Mar-a-Lago raid was to get back these damning Crossfire hurricane records, and then the subsequent lawfare was to try to shut up, to bankrupt, to imprison, to even get President Trump killed. It's because of these Crossfire hurricane records. This is the biggest scandal in American history. And when I have been saying on your show with you for 3 years that these lawfare Democrats better lawyer up, this is what I mean by this. These records that are coming out show that President Obama, Vice President Biden, Hillary Clinton, the CIA, the Justice Department, including the FBI, they made up the Russian collusion hoax. They made it up to help Hillary Clinton's campaign and to destroy President Trump's campaign. And when they failed, they tried to destroy his presidency. When he declassified these Crossfire hurricane records and tried to get him out before he left office in 2021, they've tried to destroy him. This is all coming out. This is all an ongoing criminal conspiracy against rights. or at a minimum, much, much worse maybe, under 18 U.S.C. Section 241, I promise you that people are going to go to prison. So that's going to happen. Nobody is above the law. Presidential immunity for Obama may apply while he's in the White House. It certainly does not apply to President Obama when he's continuing to cover up a criminal conspiracy as the former president after he left the White House. And I think President Trump made a big mistake in his first term by not prosecuting Hillary Clinton. And I don't think they're going to make that mistake this time.
We're going to go to break. You know Grassley. You know how dogged he is. People I know in the intelligence area, investigative area, and Natalie's going to join us here in a moment, I have said, hey, this beyond a shadow of a doubt, we can move very quickly. Do you believe what you've seen so far, and the reason Grassley was so dogged on this, is that the Mar-a-Lago raid now, you feel pretty comfortable with what you originally said, that the Mar-a-Lago raid had nothing to do with President Trump taking some classified stuff from the archives. It was all about going down and getting information away from him. You think that this supports what you've seen so far, and this declassification supports that?
100%, or I wouldn't have said it. I've been saying this for 3 years, and my nearly 5,000 media hits supporting and defending President Trump, and many of them on your show, Steve. I know I'm crazy. I'll fully concede that, but I'm almost always right, and I know I'm right here.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Natalie Winters is with us. She's drilled down on what's been released so far. Mike Davis is going to stick with us. Also, Mike Davis had an event last night about confirmations. This is what Mike Davis's gig for us in the first term was to do this. We had Mike Lee on today. Are they going to go home? Are they going to agree to Mike Lee's plan? Are they going to give us a recess of points? We got to get these people. And if you saw the power and energy last night at Butterworth's with Emil Bovee, and Judge Jeanine and people like Joe Kemp, people have just gotten confirmed. President Trump needs his team. Short commercial break. We're going to return to the war room in just a moment.
To avoid digital threats, just turn on NordVPN. Improve your protection against trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. Get the deal now.
Tired of the hassle and high costs of selling a home? We can help. At Ideal Agent, we'll connect you with a top local agent that'll sell your home fast for top dollar, and all this for as low as a 2% commission.
We got the top dollar for our house and the lowest commission that I could have imagined. The house sold in 2 days. It was so exciting for us.
Ideal Agent is available nationwide. There's no obligation, and best of all, our service is completely free. Call today or visit idealagent.com.
Hello, my friend. Pat Boone here. You know our country's under financial assault like never before. Our government has put us $34 trillion in debt. The interest alone's more than we spend on military defense. And what's worse, other countries no longer believe the U.S. is a safe place to invest. There's a growing international movement to dump U.S. dollars at a record pace. Some economists say this may signal the end of the dollar. Now, these countries are instead buying gold, and I'm suggesting you do the same. My friends at Swiss America have been helping Americans like you and me for over 40 years to buy physical gold and silver for delivery to our homes or held in our IRAs. I've trusted Swiss America for nearly 25 years now, and you can trust them too. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these troubling times.
Some people are worried that they won't be able to get food, whether it's because of food shortages or rising prices or, God forbid, even a disaster. But right now, check this out. This tote, it's got breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even enough for snacks for up to 4 weeks, guys. And right now, when you order one of these 4-week food survival kits, you get the second kit absolutely free. Now, you see that little square on your screen? That's called a QR code. And here's how to use it. Pick up your smartphone. Now, just open up the camera app like you're gonna take a picture. Hold it up so that the camera can see the QR code on the screen. You see that? The link popped up right there. Now go ahead, you tap that. That link's gonna take you to this deal right now. Now see, these kits can last up to 25 years. They taste great, and they ship for free. This is your food security plan. And right now, it's buy one, get one free, so that means it's double your value. But that's only if you scan the code before the deal ends. So go ahead, Scan the code to buy a 1 4-week food kit, and you'll get that second one absolutely free.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath & Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie-cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
Hello, America's Voice family. Are you on Getter yet? No?
What are you waiting for?
It's free.
It's uncensored, and it's where all the biggest voices in conservative media are speaking out.
Download the Getter app right now. It's totally free. It's where I put up exclusively all of my content 24 hours a day. You want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
That's right. You can follow all of your favorites. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec,
and so many more.
Download the Getter app now.
Sign up for free and be part of the movement.
I'm putting up stuff on Getter all day long, so make sure you go check it. Also, take your phone out right now. Text Bannon at 989898. You get the ultimate guide. This is free for investing in gold and precious metals in the age of Trump. I think now more than ever you need to understand the interaction of gold with currency, with fiat currency, capital markets, debt deficits, all of it. And we get to all that also in the end of the dollar empire. Just go to birchgold.com/Bannon. You get all of our information, all free. We're working on the 8th and 9th installment, free installment of End of the Dollar Empire right now. A couple of things. Number one, a very raw and tough hearing today in Kerrville. I mean, there's got to be some answers, folks, particularly if you are a parent of one of those little girls or in the community. Very raw and very tough. We're going to spend more time on that tomorrow. But I got to tell you, there were not a lot of great answers coming, and I think people are going to get very, very upset at what's happening down there. I want to get to, we got an update. We're trying to get Brian Harris up there. I think we're going to have good news because you, this audience, are putting tons of pressure down in Texas. You saw Hakeem Jeffries down there. And by the way, the Hakeem Jeffries go full Tea Party on us. Did Hakeem Jeffries use the quote that when the government fears the people, there's liberty? Hakeem, my man, get him a Gadsden flag. What the hell? Whoa, bro. I love that. Incredible. Hakeem Jeffries quoting the kind of the Tea Party mantra. When the government fears the people, there you have liberty. Right on, man. That's not too shabby. You see what happens when you start redistricting? You start getting down there and making things right. They start freaking out. Good news on that. Mike Davis. First off, on you're in charge of confirmations. Last night, the energy at Butterworth's, I think, even including the inauguration, it was probably the best event I've seen because of the level of people, senior people, but it were people getting confirmed. Trump's team is coming together. Mike Lee, Senator Mike Lee, the best constitutionalist, he's on here today and he's saying, look, my plan is 150 guys. We stick around. We do it. But, and Semaphor's got what Thune wants to do, which is come back in October after they do the budget and have some of these marginal changes that we're going to take 2 hours away from this. That's not going to work. And Mike Lee said, hey, if we were in opposition, clearly you never go into recess, but we control the House, the Senate, and the executive branch. It would besmirch President Trump if we didn't actually work it out to go on to actually go in recess and let these be recess appointments. And then over the year, he says they would go all the way to 26, to the end of 26. And in that year or year and a half, you would work on actually taking through the confirmation process. Your thoughts about this, that you kind of ran this thing for us, sir?
I would say this, the Senate needs to end its French work week. It works 2.5 days a week, and then it goes home. They go into what's called pro forma sessions, and so they never really go into recess. And so it's hard to do these recess appointments if you don't go into recess. And then we're coming up on August recess, which is like a high holy month in Washington, D.C. And the problem is you have these Senate Democrats who are obstructing everything that President Trump is trying to do. They're not giving consent to routine things in the Senate. They're not giving unanimous consent or voice votes, remaining no objection, and just letting non-controversial nominees get confirmed. It used to be that U.S. attorneys would get confirmed by voice votes or unanimous consent. That has stopped happening. They're objecting to every one of these. So I would say this, you don't need to change these rules. You just need to keep the Senate working. And so you need, in order for Thune to do that, he needs 50 Senate Republicans to agree that they're going to, God forbid, work on a Friday, maybe a Saturday or Sunday, work through August recess, and then the Democrats' obstruction is meaningless. And so it's amazing how many judges and other nominees you can confirm by merely threatening to make the Senate work past 2 p.m. on Thursday. So that's what they need to do. Just make the Senate work, get 50 Senate Republicans to go along with this, and then we'll get these people confirmed. But the problem is if that Senate Republicans want to go home as well, so Thune can't get them to agree to stay in over the weekend, stay on a Friday, stay in over the weekends, stay in August recess and work. And so that's where the Article 3 Project steps up with the War Room Posse. If you go to article3project.org, article number 3project.org, and you click on Take Action, one of the action items is calling both of your home state senators, emailing them, tweeting at them, social media, and telling them to work, to stay in session and work and get these nominees confirmed. That's how you get through this obstruction. It's the top right one there. The top right, it says, tell the Senate to stay in session and confirm President Trump's nominees.
But they've got their Codels. They're going to Greece to do, look at naval installations in the Greek islands. You know the deal. They're out of here. What is it? It's Thune's call. He's saying they don't trust President Trump. I understand if we're in opposition to Biden or if the Democrats control the Senate and they're in opposition. I got it. You don't go into recess, or technical recess. You stay pro forma. And the reason is you don't want them to have free reign to do what they want to do on these appointments. What is the logic? Since and we've bombarded them and we continue to do it, they're not going to stick around. It's a high holy month and they're out of here. What is it about Thune just saying, okay, we're going to go into recess and have at it, sir?
That's a good question. I have to go back and remember this. I think going into recess requires 60 votes in the Senate. They don't have 60 votes, obviously. But, the issue is that just keep these people in session, right? Until it's like they want recess, but they haven't done their homework. They haven't earned recess. Recess is for kids, right? These senators need to do their job, and then they need to confirm President Trump's nominees. If they confirm President Trump's nominees, then like good kindergartners, they can go on recess.
Okay, sir. We're going to continue to track this because today was supposed to be, but I think tomorrow's going to be the last day. We still got time to make calls. Go to Bill Blaster, Article 3. Let's light people up. You're having an impact. I know we're having an impact because we've got great news coming out of Texas that we're going to get Harrison up here as soon as we can. Mike Davis, last thing, Jeff Clark, the great warrior, he was there last night doing a magnificent job. But they're still coming. I tell people, hey, if you think this fight's over, you couldn't be farther from the truth. If we don't get those seats in Texas and in Florida and Hakeem Jeffries comes speaker, impeachment's going to roll, indictment's going to roll. They're just trying to destroy Rudy Giuliani and Jeff Clark even as we speak. What happened to Jeff Clark today? And when Mike Davis puts out a tweet saying, okay, time to go to war, what do you mean?
I said this is BS, and I didn't use BS. I used a more Mike Davis term for it, and I said this is time to go to war. What they're doing to Jeff Clark is un-American. He was a Justice Department official. He drafted a legal memorandum, a legal recommendation that he did not even send. He merely drafted it. And now the D.C. bar, a bunch of left-wing radicals on the D.C. bar are now disbarring Jeff Clark from the practice of law. He is a senior official right now in the White House Office of Management and Budget. It's called the Office of OIRA, Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs. And it's his job to be the traffic cop for regulations across the government. It is stunning that the D.C. bar is continuing to go after Jeff Clark. And so I know that Pam Bondi and her Justice Department are looking at right now all the steps that they can take to protect and defend Jeff Clark, including filing whatever needs to be filed with the D.C. bar, maybe reimbursing Jeff Clark for legal fees because they tried to bankrupt him as part of his official duties in the Trump 45 Justice Department. The Democrats did during 4 years of lawfare. This is not the old Republican Party. This is the Trump Party. We're not going to leave dead allies on the side of the road like Jeff Clark. That's not going to happen. And we're going to exact painful revenge for this.
Well, why are we not make the people on the D.C. bar? Let's tell them right now, we're going to make your lives miserable. Let's get them disbarred. Let's get every one of their law firms, like they broke the big law firms. No law firm representing on this group that voted should have any government contract, should have any security clearances. Can we just do that? Can't we just fight fire with fire? They're not going to. It's not going to stop until you make it stop. These people are not reasonable. They're not rational. They're not good people. And for too long, we've treated it like, oh, it's just Republicans and Democrats. Those days are over. They took a good man like Jeff Clark and they're trying to destroy him. Why don't we destroy him back? I'm down for it. Why don't we go after them and take their law license away? Why don't we bankrupt them? Why don't we go to their law firm and say, guess what? No more contracts, just like they did with Paul Weiss, just like they did with Skadden Arps. Why are we not hitting these people with a blowtorch, sir?
Sounds like good idea, Steve. So duly noted.
Okay, good. We'll talk after the show. We'll exchange some notes. But I don't think you can. The bar's trying to do the same thing to Rudy in New York, in New York City, and in D.C. They're trying to destroy these people that stood up for this country and turned out to be right. That's the thing. They turned out to be right. They're honorable men, and they're being destroyed by scumbags. And it's time now to stop playing patty cake with the scumbags. Mike, where do people go to catch up with your social media, Article 3? Oh, we got a lot of work. We're grinding on appointments, confirmations, redistricting, recess, all of it, sir.
Yeah, so Jeff Clark is a good friend. He's a great friend of the Article 3 Project, and we have his back. You can go to article3project.org, article number 3project.org. You can donate there, follow us on social media, take action. The big action item is tell the Senate to end their French work week, and recess is for kids.
Thank you, Mike Davis. We'll come back to you afterwards. I think we got a shot here at the going into recess and actually get some recess appointments. It's going to have to happen. Short commercial break. Natalie, Philip Patrick. Next in the War Room.
He was only 47. Aneurysm. Did he have life insurance? Do you? No. You got to get on it. Check out SelectQuote. Trust me, the peace of mind, it's worth it.
Life insurance is too important to put off another day. That's why SelectQuote makes getting coverage you need easy, for less than $1 a day. Now get up to a $2 million policy with no medical exam and same-day coverage.
When the kids turn unholy, Harrelson's Own keeps my patience divine.
When work flies out of control, Harrelson's Own keeps me cool as a cucumber.
The device madness never ends, but Harrelson's Own keeps me zen.
Life can be chaotic, but Harrelson's Own CBD helps keep you calm through any storm. Harrelson's Own consistently delivers you full mind and body homeostasis. It's an organic, full-spectrum CBD in a refreshing oral spray. Our nano-emulsified technology makes it completely water-soluble, so your body absorbs it immediately. You'll start to feel it in seconds, not 60 minutes. It just makes everything feel better.
And it helps me just take the edge off. It helps me relax. It helps me be there with my kids.
I swear I'm like a mental ninja. Like nothing can throw me off balance.
No matter how many things come at me, I'm like, boom, handled, next. I'm like crushing it all day long.
Well, some people take it for a release from stress. Some take it to get rid of pain. Others just take it for general well-being. For me, Brett Harrelson, it just makes everything about my day a little better.
Give your life a boost.
It's just the best you've ever felt in your natural state.
My happiness in a bottle is the best.
So to sum it all up, you're going to feel the benefits quickly, love the way it feels, and like the way it tastes. Pay a fair price, and you're going to thank us for it. We are so confident you're going to be satisfied that we back every bottle with a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. Give Harrelson's Own a try, from our family to yours. Go to HO.com to order Harrelson's Own now. Yep, it's that easy. Just our initials. HO.com.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active? Introducing the Easy Well Remedy Massage System, a triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax. The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it. Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
You know, there's 10 big stories we couldn't even get to in the 2 hours. And we've got, and we're going to be reporting from Alaska on the Arctic Conference, Cleo's in the islands out in the far Pacific. We've got AI. We've got so much we're covering. And, these questions that President Trump asked at his press avail about genocide, hey, you heard the answer about Kiev, about the Russians just unloading on Ukraine last night. A really amazing answer there. Of all this is going on, I think, and I'm asking the team to pull out a plate next, Hakeem Jeffries is based now. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries actually said, when the government fears the people, there you have liberty. Yo, that's like Waco. What do you, man, I think we've messed their heads up so badly they don't know if they're coming or going now. Hakeem Jeffries down there, he's not he's down there babbling down in Texas because they're about to get steamrolled. You heard Harry Enton. And these are all Hispanic districts that Trump won in massively. So it's just absolutely incredible. And we're going to have Brian Harrison on here in a minute. Natalie, so when the stuff starts coming out there, the material starts coming out, Mike Benz obviously is one of the guys you always look to. He's putting up tweets that have like 5 red explanation points. What's going on? What have you seen so far, and what's particularly got your attention on this, ma'am?
Well, I have to say I'm very glad you're back from partying at Butterworth. You and Mike Davis both. There's a lot of news to get to. I think what Senator Grassley's putting out is a prime example of that. Also to what you guys were talking about last segment about how we can actually go after these people. Obviously terrible what they're doing to the one and only Jeff Clark. I think this is clear evidence that we should be revoking the 501c3 status of the Open Society Foundation, of course, belonging to George Soros. Why do I say that? Basically, their executive vice president, here's a name you should get familiar with, Leonard Bernardo. Keep in mind, this organization has a tax-exempt status. They say they're not political. I would argue what we're about to dive into, frankly, isn't just politics. It's political warfare, if not information warfare, legal warfare, media warfare, psychological warfare. I think the Chinese Communist Party through warfare's doctrine probably reified to a T. But just to sort of contextualize what we're talking about, the John Durham Annex, which, is documents basically from over a decade ago, finally being declassified. They were found in burn bags, I guess, strewn around the FBI as discovered by Kash Patel. But if Denver wants to put up on screen, we have sort of the overview of the emails that we can read. I'll just read a couple sentences and then sort of analyze and help you understand why Mike Benz and the like are so apoplectic over really what is a bombshell. I know that word is thrown around a lot, but I think it's quite applicable here. So this email is July 2016, coming from, like I said, the VP of the Open Society Foundation, saying, quote, HRC, in reference to Hillary Rodham Clinton, approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. The point is making the Russian play a U.S. domestic issue. Say something like critical infrastructure is a threat for the election. election to feel a menace, since both POTUS and the VP have acknowledged that fast IC would speed up searching for evidence that is regrettably still unavailable. Now, basically every word that I read in that chain of sentences is more explosive than the next, but the first line is basically admitting that this was political from the get-go, that this was coming from the Clinton campaign, all of the Steele dossier. But I think what the real buried lead here, and why you're seeing Mike Benz and sort of, I think, the war room really theory of the case when it comes to Democrat, but more precisely establishment censorship, crackdown on election infrastructure, is the word critical infrastructure being used here, right? Setting a pretext, using it as sort of this fake crisis to then justify a very robust expansion, not just of federal government power, but particularly getting the IC involved. Why do I say that? If you look at a lot of the lingo, sort of the text, whether it was DHS, it was why CISA was created, but a lot of these global censorship operations expanded their purview over content being shared and sent on the internet, not because they thought they had jurisdiction over speech, but because they declared misinformation or tweets that, the posse was sending out about the 2020 election as critical infrastructure. And people may recall they actually, I believe it was, no conspiracies, no coincidences, but January 6th of 2017, where it was under the Obama administration, where they actually changed elections and classified them as critical infrastructure to sort of lay the groundwork for propping up CISA, which we know really was ground zero for a lot of these censorship activities. And when you keep reading, talking about how you can really manufacture evidence to support the theory of this case, quote, in absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media, and GRU will hopefully carry on to give more facts. I think this really dovetails with the other damning sentence that Mike Benz and all of us have really been, I think, freaking out over, which is the idea of, quote, making the Russian play a U.S. domestic issue. In other words, trying to get the American people to go crazy and become totally apoplectic over all things Russia, Russia, Russia. We're going to get into Leonard's ties to the Ukraine war, because I think there's an interesting connection, like there always seems to be with anyone who's somehow involved in democratic politics. But Leonard, who, like I said, is, essentially the number 2, number 3, he was the acting VP when they appointed a new president over at Open Society. If Denver wants to put these pictures up on screen, this is someone who was actively posting. He essentially runs the Russia desk at the Open Society Foundation, but has posted a ton in the 2014 years, 2013 kind of surrounding times about essentially fomenting color revolutions in Ukraine. Quote, how democratic transition can unfold in Ukraine. Quote, a reformist agenda for Ukraine can be a template for how an effective and democratic transition can unfold. He has a lot of articles published really honing in on Ukraine, which I think makes his involvement with the Russia hoax all the more, frankly, sinister. And just the last sort of point to really get to in this email, the quote, Julie says it will be a long-term affair to demonize Putin and Trump. Now it is good for a post-convention bounce. Later, the FBI will put more oil into the fire. Outcome is far from clear, as Americans are more keen on their own woes, and Hillary is hardly good looking as far as credibility is concerned. Anyway, things are ghastly for U.S.-Russian relations. Look, Steve, I think the top line assessment of this is that it's case closed. Obviously, this was fake, right? It's clearly political. But I think if you really do sort of a linguistic analysis and you look at the code words that they're sort of telegraphing, whether it's making the Russia issue a play or talking about designating things critical infrastructure, you really can sort of, I think, reverse engineer not just what their playbook has been on the Russia stuff, right? As President Trump alluded to in the Oval Office when he was talking about how they want a special counsel on all of this, because it all runs together. It's the same people, it's the same tactics, it's no coincidence, and it's no mistake, right, that this guy is, number 3 over at George Soros's foundation, and he's busy. By the way, into the 2020 election, I was really doing a deep dive into his background, hosting a ton of, creepy, weird town halls and webinars with Bill de Blasio's wife, Maya Wiley, make that make sense, accusing President Trump of spreading, quote, lies of disinformation, misinformation. That's not the correct picture to be putting up on screen. I digress. But there's a lot to unpack here. So that's my top line assessment.
What I find amazing is what you and Benz and people that have been working on for years, as this becomes, we see the revelation, so you can actually see the hard print. everybody's been pretty close. I mean, it's not hidden from us of what they tried to do. Now, this is the supporting documents you need in their own words, sent from their own email accounts. And you understand why they've tried to hide this and why a guy like Grassley, who's like a bulldog, it's taken him 3 years to do it. And it's even taken, 7 months or 7 or 8 months in the Trump administration. Do you feel pretty comfortable with what we're seeing plays along the lines of the work that yourself and Mike Benz and so many others have been doing and pursuing this?
Well, of course. I mean, look, I think that this is another incident where you're going to have a bunch of people coming probably, 5 years from now. Hopefully, if we can actually get real accountability with criminal charges, the timeline on that will be significantly sped up. But people saying, oh, you know what? You guys were right about Joe Biden's mental health. He always was super crazy. Maybe, Jake Tapper's going to write a special book on the Russia hoax a year from now. But what the difference is, right, Steve, about what you have at play here, and I think you really get to the core issues in those two sentences that I really highlighted. One is the opportunity cost, frankly, from a national security and identifying the real enemy, which is and always has been the Chinese Communist Party, perspective of focusing so much and allocating not just, kinetic resources, but just time and think tanks and different sort of, just DC swampy resources to fighting and fomenting this anti-Russian hatred, not because Russia's so great, but it pulls us away, not just from Indo-PACOM, but from focusing, right, on all things China. And I think that's probably the largest opportunity cost. So when, the PRC has effectively seized all of our rare earths and they effectively run this country, right, with their unrestricted warfare tactics, I'm so glad that we have a really robust Atlantic Council that can issue all these white papers about how bad Russia is. That's not really going to matter when you can't publish because China overtakes the Atlantic Council more than they already do. But I think the other really key point, and I think you see it like I was saying, it's the pattern recognition on every single issue. I think the sort of kinetic action of it is this idea of them saying, oh, let's make, let's designate misinformation or mean speech critical infrastructure. Let's designate elections critical infrastructure. That's third world tactics, right? It's the idea fundamentally that what they have done abroad, whether it's the nation building in the Middle East, fomenting the color revolutions across Eastern Europe, that fundamentally they weren't doing that altruistically. We know that. Look at the death counts. They were doing it to fine tune and essentially practice for what they wanted to do here, so much to the point that you got Cheney's involved on, both sides of the trade. Liz Cheney tried to do it with Jan 6, just like her father tried to do with the Iraq War. So that's the fundamental premise here. And I think the other big takeaway, too, is that this is the difference of MAGA, and I would cross-apply it to Epstein and all of whatever scandal it may be. Old guard Republicans are fine thinking that accountability can be found in, releasing documents and putting out tweets and going on Fox. MAGA loves the rhetoric, that's great, but if that rhetoric is not matched with action, then I don't care. You're just insulting my intelligence. So I think we have an opportunity on a silver platter to really establish our, shall we say, MAGA bona fides and actually do something. They put you in jail for a non-crime. They put thousands of patriots in jail for non-crimes. We have actual crimes. If we can't even seal the deal on this, I don't even want to hear the tough talk about the 2020 election. Let's actually do something. We got the facts and truth on our side. We have the declassified information on our side. I think it's incredibly frustrating that there hasn't been more actual movement and not just happy talk on this.
I agree with you. I tell people, hey, if you don't stick the landing here and you don't actually see indictments and perp walks and serious indictments for the real crimes here, and a serious prosecution team, a strike force made up of, I don't care if it's independent counsel, special counsel, some person from an Eastern District or whatever that's assigned full time, Judge Janine, you pick them. But somebody that's damn serious about this and putting together an all-star team, because this is everything. Natalie, what's your social media? I'm going to come back tomorrow and we'll talk about, besides you, and I've had Posobiec and Benz and Cernovich and a handful of others, there's not a lot of guidance coming out of the White House. You have President Trump coming up with these true socials, but you don't see an organized media campaign on this. You just don't. And it's got to be something we have to talk about. We'll do it tomorrow. Natalie, for now, where do people go for your social media, ma'am?
Natalie G. Winters. Until next time, thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic, ma'am. Thank you so much. Just made your job harder at the White House, but hey, you're a tough kid. You'll figure it out. No, this has got to be, You have to have the framing and kind of the narrative drive. President Trump's putting out some amazing Truth Socials and people putting up great tweets that go through this, but it needs to be organized, as they say in Taxi Driver. Philip Patrick, guess what? Too late, pal. Decided it was too early to lower rates. We're going to ask our own Philip Patrick his thoughts next in the War Room.
Some people are worried that they won't be able to get food, whether it's because of food shortages or rising prices or, God forbid, even a disaster. But right now, check this out. This tote, it's got breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even enough for snacks for up to 4 weeks, guys. And right now, when you order one of these 4-week food survival kits, you get the second kit absolutely free. Now, you see that little square on your screen? That's called a QR code. And here's how to use it. Pick up your smartphone. Now, just open up the camera app like you're going to take a picture. Hold it up so that the camera can see the QR code on the screen. You see that? The link popped up right there. Now go ahead, you tap that. That link's going to take you to this deal right now. Now see, these kits can last up to 25 years. They taste great and they ship for free. This is your food security plan. And right now, it's buy one, get one free. So that means it's double your value. But that's only if you scan the code before the deal ends. So go ahead, scan the code to buy a 4-week food kit and you'll get that second one absolutely free.
Hey there. Hey. Hey there, how are you? I'm with Disabled American Veterans. I was wondering if you had a quick minute to thank America's veterans for their service and sacrifices.
Of course, why not?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Sure.
All right. Hey, well, come on in here. I'm just going to hit record on this.
I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can't even think of the words to say of how grateful I am.
I just want to tell you guys how much you appreciate it.
But most importantly, I want to thank you for your courage and bravery.
Wow.
Just thank you.
Someone here who'd like to say something to you.
Oh my God, you guys are awesome.
Someone has something they want to say to you.
Goodness.
How's it going?
Oh. So I just want to let you know how much you appreciate it. How much you appreciate it.
I just feel honored for everything you've done.
Thank you for myself. Thank you for everybody.
I get to live every day, in peace because of you.
A lot of people thank us, but we want to take the time to thank you, honestly, for giving back. And when you give to DAV, you are supporting veterans like Dave, myself. So thank you so much for your.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
You can say thank you to our nation's heroes by calling the number on your screen right now and giving your monthly support of only $19.
Say thank you by going to helpdav.org right now and give just $19 a month. When you do, we'll send you this DAV t-shirt as a thank you and a reminder that you support those who serve.
Please call or go online to helpdav.org right now. Your support says thank you to our nation's disabled American veterans.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Yeah, I got Philip Patrick and I've got Brian Harrison. We'll get to both of them. Birch Gold, you got to get a relationship with Philip Patrick. Understand a fiat currency vis-a-vis gold, precious metals. Take your phone out. Bannon 989898. Text it right now. Free guide, the ultimate guide about investing in gold and precious metals in the age of Trump. Most importantly, you get access to Philip Patrick and his team at Birch Gold. So do it today. President is not in a good frame of mind right now, Philip Patrick, because too late, pal, did not lower rates. We know now, we've done the analytics, that the interest rates are at least 100 basis points too high, given every type of analysis of the natural gravity of where interest rates should be. Your thoughts, sir? Do you think this is just spite now? They're getting ready to go to Jackson Hole. Do you think it's just because Trump humiliated him at the Federal Reserve? It's about the bank and the overruns. Do you think he's just dug in now, sir?
That's what it feels like. It absolutely does. Think about it from this perspective. Since the Fed was established, right, their mandate is 2% inflation. They've averaged 4% inflation since inception, right? So from that perspective alone, it's time to lower rates. We're at 2.7% CPI, well below the number. They've proven by their actions are perfectly acceptable for the last 100 years. But now President Trump's in office, obviously it's an issue, and they're ignoring the elephant in the room, which is an economy desperately in need of a growth boom and huge refinancing costs on the national debt. But I think the problem with the Fed is bigger than one sort of single rate cut, right? The question is, have they even been an effective institution since establishment at all? And the answer is not really, right? Look at their dual mandates, price stability, which they define as 2% inflation. Well, as we know, they've averaged double that since inception. Prior to the establishment of the Fed from 1790 to 1913, inflation averaged 1/10 of that. So they failed massively at price stability. Then we've got maximum employment, which is identified strangely as the lowest employment rate that doesn't create inflationary pressures. But for the Fed, historically, 4% has been the sweet spot. Since 1948, 5.7% has been the average, over 50% above their goal. So they're failing at unemployment as well. What about the big unspoken mandate, moderating business cycles? Do we still have booms and busts? The answer is absolutely yes, and the numbers prove it, right? Prior to the Fed, we had a recession once every 6 years on average. They were sharp, but the recoveries were equally sharp. Today, in this climate, since the Fed, 6-year average as well, but crashes are now bigger and more dangerous. Think the Great Depression, stagflationary climate of the 70s, 08. They all happened under the Fed's watch. What about GDP? Economic volatility has increased by 50% since the Fed was founded. That means bigger booms and bigger busts. The swings in GDP are wider now than they were before the Fed existed. So instead of putting business cycles on cruise control, they're stomping on the gas, slamming on the brakes over and over again. And each time the Fed steps in with rate cuts and money printing, they're creating the next bubble. That's not moderation, it's pouring gasoline on the fire. So by every possible metric, the Fed has completely failed to deliver on its mission. And the sort of icing on the cake, they are completely unaccountable to Congress or the president. Right? There is no recourse that elected officials can pursue. Listen, if the army does a bad job, we fire a general, right? If Secretary Bessent started bouncing checks in the Treasury Department, Trump would throw him out on his ear, right? The Fed, they've overseen 40-year high inflation. And what can we do? Absolutely nothing at all. By every single measure, the Fed have done a terrible job. Now, are they entirely responsible for the situation we're in today? Of course not. But they are co-conspirators without question. They have spent 2 decades inflating bubbles, running up debt, hollowing out our industrial base and exporting inflation. And now rates are finally honest for the first time in 25 years, right? Interest rates are above, and the whole system is cracking under the weight. Look, the Fed didn't create the disaster alone, but they are absolutely complicit. Jerome Powell is complicit. Right? I howled when the Fed cut interest rates just before the election. The situation we are in today is a disaster. We are forced as Americans to choose between an unimaginable debt burden or calculated dollar devaluation. You could certainly put Powell on trial for this, but you should also put Yellen, Bernanke, and Greenspan on the stand as well, because they are all equally culpable. This isn't a Powell problem. It is so much bigger than that. It is an institutional problem, and it will not go away on its own without action.
Well, this is what Scott Bessent's saying as Secretary of Treasury about a total rethink. It'll be interesting to see what happens in Jackson Hole. Where do people go to get your thinking on this, Philip? I can already tell from the chat, people are very engaged and want to know your thoughts about the direction of this, and also your thoughts about gold as a hedge against all of this, sir.
It's very simple. birchgold.com/Bannon. That'll get them all the information they need on precious metals, how and why in this economy. And they can get access to End of the Dollar Empire reports there as well. And they can reach me directly at Philip Patrick on Getter.
Philip Patrick, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Big news coming out of Texas. Let's go right to Brian Harrison. Brian, we got a couple minutes. We want to hold you through the break and take you to the top of the hour. Just can you give us the top line? Hakeem Jeffries down there today. They know they got a problem. Harry Enton's talking about the polling, just blowout numbers, supporting Trump on this. What's the latest? Are we actually going to get a vote? Is this thing going to get passed down there, sir?
Well, it needs to get passed. I mean, quite frankly, my position is that it should have been passed already. And the Democrats, the national Democrats, know exactly what's on the line, and that's the future. And this is not tongue in cheek. It's not hyperbole. It's the future of the United States of America is on the line. Texas should be leading. Quite frankly, we should have done this in a regular session. We're already almost halfway through the special session. Hakeem Jeffries flew from Washington, D.C. last night to huddle up with the Democrats in the Texas House last evening to encourage them to do everything they can to thwart President Trump and the Republican agenda down here in the state of Texas. So as far as I'm concerned, the elected Republican leadership in the state of Texas needs to wake up, realize what time it is in America, and get this map passed and get it passed right now. And I'm happy to stay through the break and talk through more of that with you.
Yeah. Hang on one second. Mike Lindell, we got 60 seconds. Sell me a pill and some sheets before you go back to work.
Hey, you guys, this is it. We got your own little site, mypillow.com/war room. Go there now. It's a shortcut for free shipping on your entire order. And get those big ticket made in the USA items, the mattress pad, the mattresses, everything to go with your bedroom. And also there's new products there. The bath mats and these large bath towels are called bath sheets. All that's on sale with free shipping on your entire order. Or call 800-873-1062, promo code War Room. So go to mypillow.com/War Room. Free shipping today on everything. So get her done.
Okay, thank you. Okay, from Austin to the Arctic to the Pacific. Next in the War Room.
Yikes. Leaky refrigerator coil card.
Oh, no.
But your future is bright with an American Home Shield warranty to protect your covered home systems. Don't worry, be warranty.
Selling your home shouldn't be expensive or stressful. At Ideal Agent, we'll connect you with a top local agent that'll sell your home fast for top dollar, and all this for as low as a 2% commission.
Ideal Agent connected me with the best realtor in my market, and I saved $12,500 as a result of it, and I got more than my asking price.
Ideal Agent is available nationwide, there's no obligation, and best of all, our service is completely free. Call today or visit idealagent.com.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie-cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
Hey, Real America's Voice family.
Are you on Getter yet? No?
What are you waiting for?
It's free.
It's uncensored.
And it's where all the biggest voices in conservative media are speaking out.
Download the Getter app right now. It's totally free. It's where I put up exclusively all of my content 24 hours a day. You want to know what Steve Bannon's thinking? Go to Getter.
That's right. You can follow all of your favorites. Steve Bannon, Charlie Kirk, Jack Posobiec.
And so many more.
And the best part?
You can watch Real America's Voice right there on Getter.
Live.
So join the conversation.
Hop on the Getter chat room.
Engage with patriots who are just like you.
Good morning, Getter friends.
We're breaking news, we're delivering the truth,
and we're doing it on Getter
every single day.
So don't wait. Download the Getter app now.
Sign up for free and be part of the movement.
It isn't just an app. It isn't just a social media platform. It's a community. Good evening, America. Welcome to the latest edition of Just the News, No Noise. I'm your host, John Solomon, reporting to you, as always, from Washington, D.C. And tonight, Amanda and I are going to do something a little different. We've been keeping you up to speed on all the breaking news stories, right? The Russiagate explosive revelations, the tariffs, the foreign trip, Congress, the Senate. Tonight, we're going to take a deep dive into a single issue because it is a critical condition moment in America. And we don't talk about it. We don't think about it. We moved on. We were reminded 5 years ago we were too dependent on China for our medical supplies. We promised we'd fix it, and then we did it. Well, today, nearly 90% of the ingredients we need for the generic basic medicines we use, like antibiotics, antivirals, antiseptics, pain medicines, are not in the United States. We rely on foreigners, particularly China and India, for that. It leaves us unbelievably vulnerable. Amanda, I've been waiting to do something like this. We got an all-star lineup. This is a really critical issue, and it hardly gets talked about in Washington.
Yeah, you and I often have the conversation about energy security and how energy security is national security. I think that pharmaceutical security is a national security issue because you look at what we experienced during COVID, and it's not just PPEs. These prescriptions are vital, and if you can't have some type of stockpile scenario, the best case scenario is have them manufactured here and don't have the precursors coming from other nations because you're going to run into shelf life issues with each of these drugs. So why not make it homegrown and homemade? Oh man, it just secures it. You're going to hear from amazing guests. We're going to kick off in a little bit with Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the head of the National Institutes of Health. We've got 2 members of Congress who are also doctors, but people really care about this. And you're going to hear from a guy in the Pentagon who tells some amazing stories. We created a depot to store these important ingredients and it's empty today. It's empty. And we have military men and women who might be injured in the battlefield, and sometimes they can't get the pain or other medicines they need because of the shortages that we're already experiencing, and we're not even in a difficult situation with China. That's unacceptable. We're going to have to fix it. Tonight, the fix begins with a great conversation. We educate you. You go tell your lawmakers what needs to get done. And with that, we're going to kick off with a really special guest, somebody who's been talking about this issue for a long time, and he was right about COVID. All right, folks, I can't think of a better way to kick off tonight's conversation than to start it with the director, the brand new director of the National Institutes of Health, a good friend, an honest broker in the medical society. Remember, he had it right on the pandemic, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Doctor, good to have you on, sir.
Nice to be on, John.
All right, this is a big topic, and I think a lot of us, we just don't think about it. We go about, and for the pharmacy, how's our prescription, our antibiotic, we're just happy. But there are some real vulnerabilities. It looks like 80 to 90% of the precursors that make most of our drugs aren't in the United States as an ingredient, and we don't have a lot of manufacturing capability. How serious a moment are we in?
It's a serious moment. I mean, I think folks remember from COVID, so all those supply chain shortages, drugs were a major problem, actually. And if you look back, even before COVID, we are actually, as a country, in a precarious position. Basic things like normal saline, salt water that's used in hospitals, it's currently in shortage. And the problem is that we do not have sufficient domestic manufacturing of these basic medical items, and so any sort of stress at all on the system and basic medications that Americans should be able to have if they get sick may not be available. And so that's something that the Trump administration is really deeply concerned about and working hard to fix.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's how I learned about it, just talking to folks in the administration that they're really serious about it. Now, we had that moment during the pandemic where we couldn't get PPE or antibiotics or antivirals, and we were like, oh my God, it's really bad. And then I know what happens. We have a short attention span in modern America, and it doesn't look like a lot got done during the Biden years to close that gap. Was that a missed moment in history?
I think it was. I mean, I have to say again, this predates Trump 1. This has been building for a long time, and what's happened is that a lot of the American capacity to produce drugs domestically has shifted overseas. This is just like the rest of the manufacturing industry that sort of, and this is why I think in part why President Trump won in 2016 was because his promise was to try to start to bring back some of the manufacturing capacity we have. And it applies in spades to drugs. Again, this is something that's been going on for a long time. When COVID hit and there was those shortages, it really was a call to arms, a sort of a bell ringing saying, okay, let's fix this. And the Biden administration did not do very much to address it at all. And so we are, if anything, worse position than we were at the beginning of COVID, where so much of our manufacturing for drugs relies on the Chinese manufacturing, on Indian manufacturing. And it leaves the United States in a very vulnerable place where if you have a crisis, even when you don't have a crisis, when there's just normal demands for vital medical items, antibiotics, I already mentioned normal saline, all of that is just normal demand. We are in a shortage now of some of those things because we do not have domestic manufacturing that can respond when there is an increase in demand, as there sometimes is.
Yeah, it's the fancy new drugs that make us all the envy of the world. We have the greatest pharma industry in the world, and so the new ones are not the problem, but it really is everyone. Like when we fall or we get strep throat or we need pain medication or we need saline at a surgery, those are the ones that are really the most risk in this system right now, right?
Absolutely, the basic drugs. I mean, there's not to say that the more expensive drugs are always available either, right? So there's still there may be problems with that. In fact, my friend Marty McCary, who is now the FDA commissioner, he highlighted a thing which I didn't realize, but he's working to fix. There are these new cell therapies, which are these complicated. Essentially, they take the cells out of you, stem cells out of you, and then they edit them, and then they put them back into you to fix, for instance, like things like sickle cell anemia, right? Really promising therapies, often very expensive. It turns out in many of these cell therapies, you take the cells out of American patients, send them to China, and then bring them back from China, where the Chinese edit them. We ship them to China in order to do the editing, and then bring them back and give it to Americans. There's no reason why America should not be the hub of this. This is the place where a lot of that technology was invented. The United States should be the place where we develop the capacity to make this available for all Americans who need it.
Yeah, that is an amazing factor. I hadn't heard that. That is amazing. All right, so you mentioned China, we mentioned India earlier. Those are the two big ones. One, we have a great relationship with India. One, we sometimes have a very competitive and occasionally hostile relationship with China. Walk us through the different challenges that each has. Obviously, one has hostilities. The other, there's been some concerns about India and some quality control issues. How do we tackle both of these in the near future?
Yeah, so on India, which is exactly what you said, John, right? So there've been some scandals, frankly, in the past regarding Indian manufacturing plants for medications. And the way forward with that is cooperation with India to allow American FDA inspectors in, right? And, we've gotten a lot of, that picture of Prime Minister Modi and President Trump is a fantastic example of this. Lots and lots of promising kind of exchanges where that kind of collaboration will result in more oversight and better regulation of the Indian pharmaceutical manufacturing firms, so that we can have a confidence that if you have something manufactured in India and is brought to the United States, that it's like safe enough for use in Americans, safe for use by Americans. So I'm actually quite quite hopeful about that. Lots and lots of progress being made on this. Again, it was my friend Marty McCary that's been involved with a lot of that, and it's in the FDA, the current FDA commissioner that President Trump picked. With China, it's a little more challenging. You saw during COVID the threat. What happens is when there was a geopolitical event like COVID, what happened is that the Chinese, you mentioned PPEs, that's just one example, but you could expand this to other items. A lot of the manufacturing for PPEs was done in China. And as a result, when there was the initial outbreak of COVID, the Chinese essentially said, we're not going to share these with you guys. In fact, if you remember, John, what happened early on in COVID was that the United States, COVID hit China first. The United States and Europe offered whatever stores we had of our PPE to the Chinese authorities to sort of help them out during the time when was thought that the COVID would just stay in China. But then when the disease spread out elsewhere, the Chinese had essentially a near monopoly over the PPEs, or a lot of like control over that PPE market, and there were shortages in the early days in the United States for PPEs.
That's amazing. We showed some generosity, and then we saw what competition looks like on the backside of that transaction. I know it was a pretty hard moment. There is some really hopeful things that happened this summer. The big, beautiful bill is so big that sometimes we lose sight of all the things that it accomplished in one piece of legislation. But the manufacturing incentives that are there create an incentive and also a potential competitive price structure to bring manufacturing back, both at the precursor level and the completed drug market. How important is the BB as sort of a first strike in getting this fix into place?
It's very important. I should say, I don't want to get people's hopes up in terms of like a fast timeline. Right. I'm hearing like a decade right, to actually bring the manufacturing back in. But we have to start somewhere, and the BBB, the Big Beautiful Bill, is a really great starting point. The other thing that President Trump did is he issued an executive order essentially ordering something called the most favored nation status for where the price of drugs, like prescription drugs, is often 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10 times more in the United States than it is in Europe, for instance, right? The same manufacturer, often even American companies will charge will charge Europeans 10 times less, 5 times less, 2 times less for the same drug that they charge Americans for, 10 times more in the United States. 2 to 10 times more less in France or somewhere. What the president's executive order says is the U.S. is saying enough of that. We're going to demand that the drug companies treat Americans fairly, the same way and give us the same deal as they give Europeans, for instance. But especially if they make available, if the drug manufacturers onshore and make domestic manufacturing of facilities, then they'll be able to have a little more leeway on these kind of negotiations. It's an all of the above approach to try to make sure that we address the drug price problem in this country, and also to have that we bring back domestic manufacturing of pharmaceuticals so that we don't have such problems in the future.
It's such a huge moment to fix it. And the good news is with you and Dr. Makary and others, there is a clear pathway now. There's the discussions happening there. Last question I have you, some of the folks in the military who've thought about this are talking about creating depots and just starting to stockpile the ingredients that go into making that. That would seem like a first step, even as you said, the 10-year process to getting the manufacturing plants. Is that something you think we might see more of, stockpiling of just the precursors?
I mean, I do think that might help. Although, like with anything, there's cost, right? Yep. So like if you stockpile and you don't know exactly what the demand is going to be, really you need domestic manufacturing to respond to changes in the demand in real time. Yeah. And so the stockpiling, I think, can address critical needs for key items, antibiotics and a whole bunch of other things like that. And that'll keep Americans safe in the interim. But the long run solution, which is the Trump administration is working toward, is to bring back domestic manufacturing of drugs into the United States, so that when there are demands, when there are crises, our own folks can address those crises directly without having to rely on foreign manufacturers who may not be available in those times of crises.
Boy, that is going to be a big moment to just get on that path, and it's starting now. It's the first time I've seen action in the last 5 years. So, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, it's great to have you on. It's great to know that you've got your hand on the flight stick of this very important plane. Good to have you on today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John. So good to talk as always.
You as well, sir. Thank you so much. What a great interview, folks. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk to a physician and a senator. You know him, Doc Marshall. He's been on the show many times before. He'll be here to discuss more about this major issue. And of course, Amanda will be rejoining me right after these messages. Hey, folks, let's be honest. Our body lets us know, right? We're not getting any younger. And if you want to look and feel your best, you need to check out our good friends at Pure Health Research. They have 45 premium health supplements designed to help with every health goal, whether it's boosting your energy, trimming belly fat, supporting healthy blood sugar, pumping your testosterone up, or even reducing swelling in your legs. Pure Health Research Supplement Store has you covered. Each formula is crafted with natural, non-GMO ingredients backed by clinical research and manufactured right here in the good old USA. And here's the best part. Pure Health Research is offering you an exclusive 35% discount. You heard me right, 35% off. Just go to purehealthresearch.com and use the coupon code JUSTNEWS at checkout. With their 365-day money-back guarantee, there's zero risk in trying something new, so why wait? Head over to purehealthresearch.com right now. Explore their 45 amazing supplements and save 35% before this deal ends with the coupon code JUSTNEWS. Don't miss this chance to feel your best.
A heart attack? Do they have life insurance?
No.
But we have life insurance. John.
I'm trying to find something we can afford.
Fortunately, in only a few minutes, SelectQuote found John a $500,000 policy for only $29 a month. And his wife Anne a $500,000 policy for only $21 a month. Go to SelectQuote.com now and get the insurance your family needs
at a price you can afford. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Thinking about long-term care? Think AMAC. Rosemark Advisors, the financial division of AMAC, specializes in alternative solutions for long-term care planning. We help AMAC members prepare for future healthcare needs without compromising their retirement goals or financial security. But that's not all AMAC has to offer. AMAC is America's leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization. So when it comes to long-term care and so much more, think AMAC.
When disaster strikes, will you be ready? I'm talking about when the power's out, the store's empty, and you need food fast. Check this out. It's the 4-week food kit from 4patriots.com. It's packed with hearty, delicious recipes designed to last 25 years, and that guarantees that you will always be prepared. And right now, you can get 2 kits for the price of 1. Now, this deal has never been offered before, and chances are we may never offer it again. So go to 4patriots.com today. Don't wait, and get yours while supplies last.
There's nothing worse than losing your dog before their time.
That's why I created Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, designed to help dogs with everything from digestive issues to itching, even moving better.
Nature's Blend works because it's freeze-dried. So instead of destroying the nutrients with high heat, they all get right into your dog's body.
Take it from a veterinarian with over 50 years of experience saving dogs' lives. I have never seen a food make this much impact on a dog's health.
For a limited time, get up to 54% off Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, plus a free gift with our special TV offer. Call or go to drmartypets.com/TV.
Welcome back to this special edition of Just the News, No Noise. All throughout this hour, we are taking a deep dive at an overlooked national security issue, that a majority of pharmaceuticals are either made outside of the United States, or the ingredients, the precursors for those drugs, are sourced outside of our country. And I think it's pretty easy to see why that could be pretty dangerous. So what's being done about it up on Capitol Hill? Joining us to discuss more about this issue is physician and Kansas Senator Doc Marshall. Senator, thanks so much for being here.
Amanda, great to be with you. This is a great topic. We'll try to make it entertaining.
Let's do that. Let's try. All right. So we already know that China, and I use China as an example because we have COVID, but we already know that China has the ability to disseminate a virus across the world. And now we know that we are reliant on them for many of our drugs. From a physician perspective, how could that go wrong?
This is the horrible situation. America makes only about 10% of our active pharmaceutical ingredients. These are the simple things. Think about, antibiotics, penicillin, ampicillin, Keflex. Think about insulin or monoclonal antibodies. These are real simple things. And I think it's important that your listeners understand how this came to be. What China does is they steal our technology, then they replicate it, they bring it up to scale. Then after they're up to scale, what they'll do is they'll enter the market with a product and undercut all their competition. And after they corner the market, they create an artificial shortage of that particular drug, and then they raise their prices. That's their model. I saw this as a physician long before I came to Congress. I was doing an infertility surgery, and I asked the nurses, I needed some methylene blue to make sure someone's fallopian tubes were open. And they said, "Oh, doc, we ran out of it." And I said, "Well, how come?" And they said, "Well, it's made in China, and that's the only place we can get it from now." So these are just a few examples of what we see going on.
Oh, my.
It's mind-numbing. That anecdote is so powerful because there's a real-time medical need, and it's not available. This has been a long time coming. How did we take our eye off the ball as a country, and is anyone now starting to put the focus on it?
Yeah, I do think it's number one is we did turn our back away from it. And when the economics of it, why can China make this cheaper than the United States? Okay, and let's think about that for a second. Okay, they steal the technology, so they didn't pay for the research and development. They have cheap labor. They use dirty energy. And here's the big scary thing, though, is the standards. They don't have the same consistency, the same standards that you and I would expect in the situation. They also use knockoff drugs. I'm really concerned about the compounding pharmacy industry right now, that China is sending over a knockoff compound close to the other GLP-1 competitors, but it's not exactly the same thing. At least 14 people have died in the past year taking this knockoff drug. So I think that on the one hand, we turned our back to it, but they really are able to do it cheaper. But like I tell people, the last thing you want is cheap healthcare, cheap medications.
Yeah, good point.
Senator, I know that for a lot of people, they say, well, can't we have some type of testing mechanism? If they're going to be made foreign, on foreign soil, can we at least test them? That would be expensive. It's also expensive to onshore or friend shore or near shore these manufacturers back to the United States or close by. What's the solution that's relatively economic?
Well, I'm not sure that there is an easy one. I would wager, though, the big cost of the drug, the retail price we're paying is not how much it costs to make it, but there's something between the manufacturer and the buyer, and that's called a pharmacy benefit manager. So if we could address that issue, it's going to bring the cost of drugs down, but keep the same quality. And remember, when we're talking about the quality of the drug that we're using or the medication, it's not just the drug itself, it's all the impurities, it's what comes with it that really concerns me, and the inconsistencies. When you expect to have 325 milligrams of acetaminophen in Tylenol, that's what you're expecting to have. And maybe it's got 390, maybe it's got 290. When it comes to kids, it's even more of a concern to me. I thought, forgive me, but I thought it'd be really interesting just to try to explain to people what these active pharmaceutical ingredients are just for a second.
Sure.
Think about penicillin. Penicillin basically is made from a fungus. So what China is able to do is just make big vats of that fungus and grow lots of penicillin. But on the other hand, insulin, we used to get pig insulin. But now what we're able to do is take an E. coli bacteria, take the DNA gene sequence for insulin from humans and put it in the E. coli, and then make that insulin. So some of that technology has been around for decades and years, but what China is able to do is to bring it to scale. They're able to make, China's really good at replicating. They're not great at originating anything. And then on these newer drugs that Americans are paying thousands of dollars per month, like the GLP-1 medications for type 2 diabetes, then now they're making the knockoffs to it, which is not hard to do either.
Yeah. They are a patient and strategic competitor to this country. It's remarkable how they play the game. There are some reasons for hope, and one of those is what happened with the One Big Beautiful Bill is there are now tax incentives to restore manufacturing in America. How can that give some incentives to people who maybe thought, we want to stay out of the drug manufacturing, leave it overseas? Now the field may be a little bit more level with some of the tax breaks and things you've done. Is that an opening salvo for solving this problem?
Absolutely. I know that Eli Lilly is already doing just that they are quadrupling the amount of API, the active pharmaceutical ingredients that we're talking about, building more and more of those. And that's what we want to see, is we want to see private enterprise take this and run. You don't want the federal government opening manufacturing plants to do this. Right. And we're seeing other drug companies as well. And the tariffs is moving them over here as well, okay? The One Big Beautiful Bill is going to let them write off their manufacturing costs over a year's time, bringing in those big new machines, which are just millions of dollars, being able to write off their interest, accelerated depreciation, all those things is going to bring the manufacturing of medications back to the United States. But the tariffs is driving this as well, which I'm happy to see. So some of these, the EU makes a lot of the newer drugs, right? Maybe India and China dominate the generics and things like Tylenol and aspirin and things over-the-counter stuff. But the newer drugs, Europe really has a lot of the technology. So they are actively bringing over a lot of that manufacturing to the United States as we speak.
Pretty amazing.
Senator, pharmacy benefit managers, I know a lot of people attribute that to some of the cost issues pertaining to pharmaceuticals. Is there a means by which we can get rid of those, and would that even be beneficial?
So absolutely there is. So think about a pharmacy benefit manager as someone that's between the people who make the drugs and then the consumer. And these pharmacy benefit managers determine what you can buy and what you cannot buy. They're actually taking about 50 cents of every dollar. Their profit margins are huge, and we have 3 of them controlling 85% of the prescription drugs in the country. So, look, I'm a capitalist, but when you have competition, when you have capitalism but no competition, then that leads to uncontrolled greed. So, absolutely, and we have a package of bills that I do believe is going to get across the finish line here. Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana is leading that charge on the HELP committee, the healthcare committee that I'm on as well. And it starts with transparency, and that's that's a bill that we're particularly leading, is a price tags bill that would show every consumer what the cost is for your surgery, for an x-ray, a CT scan, and then onto the pharmacy benefit managers, forcing them to show you exactly, well, where is this money going? So I wish we could get rid of them completely. That's going to be up to whichever Justice Department, those folks. But we certainly are trying to hog tie them and bring them back into competition.
Huge effort, most important. Real quickly, how do we get the precursors or the pre-ingredients going as well? So the manufacturing plants are one part. Having those ingredients near shore or onshore is another part of it. Do you have some thoughts on how that process could begin?
Well, I think first of all, we have to make it profitable and to be able to compete. So yes, indeed, China can make them cheaper than we do, but I would argue that cheaper is not always best. So we're doing the things. The one big beautiful bill, like we talked about, is going to allow the setting up these manufacturing plants. It's going to cost less money to get them set up. We're going to maintain the quality as well. I think that's the starters. And then there's all these precursors to you think about IV drugs. You know, an IV has sodium in it, has chloride, it has potassium, and a lot of that goes back to mining rare earth minerals as well. So it's deregulation and setting American entrepreneurs free, I guess, as much as anything else.
So important.
And is the cheapness factor in China worth the human lives that it costs here in the United States?
That's
I think that's what
part,
a lot of folks like you have been talking about. Kansas Senator Doc Marshall, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for your wisdom on this.
John, Amanda, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Great conversation.
All right, everybody. More for all of you on this huge national security issue with Congresswoman and Dr. Marionette Miller-Meeks after the break.
Hey, America, the digital dollar is coming, and it's moving faster than most Americans realize. Right now, 134 countries covering 98% of global GDP are developing programmable digital currencies. These aren't just new forms of money. They're built to track everything you do and control how you spend it. China already has 260 million people using their version, which can expire if it's not spent in time. This isn't innovation. It's the end of financial privacy. According to the Bank for International Settlements, these digital currencies will allow governments to monitor every single transaction in real time, and the IMF has confirmed they can be programmed to limit what people can buy and how their money's used. That's why our friends at American Alternative Assets created an urgent new guide. It's called The Digital Dollar Trap: How CBDCs Threaten Your Financial Freedom. It lays out 7 ways these currencies could strip away your freedom and explains why precious metals may be your best choice to opt out before it's too late. Call 855-GOLD-340 or visit johnlikesgold.com to get your free guide. That's 855-465-3340 or visit my site, johnlikesgold.com. Now protect your money before surveillance becomes total and escape is no longer an option.
When surprise breakdowns happen, American Home Shield will be there to fix or replace parts of the systems and appliances you rely on every day. They help protect your time and money by connecting you with qualified pros and helping pay for covered repairs or replacements. AHS offers flexible and affordable plans for every home. Sign up today and get 50% off. Visit ahs.com or call 833-PLAN-AHS for this limited time offer.
Selling your home shouldn't be expensive or stressful. At Ideal Agent, we'll connect you with a top local agent that'll sell your home fast for top dollar, and all this for as low as a 2% commission.
Ideal Agent connected me with the best realtor in my market, and I saved $12,500 as a result of it, and I got more than my asking price.
Ideal Agent is available nationwide, there's no obligation, and best of all, our service is completely free. Call today or visit idealagent.com.
Why aren't you getting results? Random workouts, overtraining muscles, completely missing others, wasted time. Don't do that. Do this. This is 25 Minute Speed Train. Follow me for just 25 minutes a day, 7 days a week, with minimal equipment, and get actual results.
Look at the definition. I didn't have these arms at high school.
Subscribe to Body in the next 24 hours for less than 50 cents a day and get 25 Minute Speed Train free at bodywithaneye.com.
Being single for years, what would it do to you? Would it make you sad? Would it make you lose hope? Would it make you feel disconnected? I wouldn't know. Because I'm using datemyage.com. Grab your phone or laptop. Go to Date My Age. Get started for free.
Join datemyage.com today.
Welcome back, America. Amanda and I are taking a deep dive into one of the legacies of the COVID-19 pandemic, the continuing supply chain weaknesses we have to get our basic medicines, prescriptions like antibiotics everybody uses. Joining us now, someone who's been raising the red alarm about this in Congress for quite some time. She also is a doctor. She understands the system better than most of us. Congresswoman Marinette Miller-Meeks from the great state of Iowa. Congresswoman, great to have you on the show.
It's great to have you, John. And before we start, as you know, I've been traveling the district, and I'm just going to say I've got a young lady in one of my counties is crushing on you. So I'm just going to say hello to Effie. But she loves you and Amanda.
Oh, that's so sweet. Hello, Effie. Thanks for watching our show. That's so cool. So cool. All right. You are a voice of reason on this. And I think a lot of people don't realize how dependent we became in the last 20 years on foreign countries like China for not only the ingredients, but sometimes the finished products of our basic pharmaceuticals. How bad is it?
It's significantly bad. The majority of our antibiotics come from China, and we saw that. I'm glad you framed this in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, because we saw, number one, that the Chinese Communist Party was sequestering or hoarding PPE, personal protective equipment, and also antivirals, antibiotics, that they're one of the prime manufacturers of those medications that we need, ibuprofen, hydrocortisone. They make those as well, our generic medications. But it's even worse than that, is that if you can think back to the baby formula and the dog food, quality problems coming from China. But they also have the APIs and the KSMs, so that's the active pharmaceutical ingredients and the key starting materials. People know about China when it comes to fentanyl. The cartels would say, and Mexico would say, we're not sending over fentanyl, but they were getting the key ingredients from China and then making synthetic fentanyl in Mexico and then sending it to the United States. So people know about the synthetic fentanyl, but they don't realize for prescription medications how much of it is actually coming from China, and the fact that one of the lessons we should have learned from COVID-19 pandemic is that we have to diversify the supply chain.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many industries that are known for coming from certain areas. Palm oil is big in South Africa. You've got textile industry that's big in the Middle East. How on earth did a country like China, with such an important industry as pharmaceuticals, how did they get such a lockdown on this?
Well, as we know, when we started lowering prescription drug prices in the United States, your prescription will say that a generic should be substituted as it should be. But that manufacturing, as our cost of labor became more expensive in the United States, manufacturing would shift overseas. We just, one of our primary generic manufacturers that was in West Virginia had closed. So there are things that we can do to bring that manufacturing back here, but it's very difficult to compete with a country that has labor costs that are a fraction of what they are here in the United States, and not having support for that industry. So I think there are things that we can do in Congress. We're looking at drug shortages and how we manage drug shortages, but also how we support manufacturing. And I'm just going to say passing the One Big Beautiful Bill was critically important to be able to onshore manufacturing or friendshore or nearshore. And that's because we're not going to compete on labor costs with China, but certainly having an attractive tax process, whether it's tax rates, whether it's immediate expensing, whether it's the corporate income tax, those things are critically important to us to be able to bring business, keep business in the United States and bring business back to the United States.
Yeah, and level the playing field just by creating a better tax advantage. Back, I think it was in 18 or 19, if I remember correctly, the Trump administration started talking about, and I think did create, a strategic pharmaceutical reserve, much like our strategic petroleum reserve. I think we put it in Virginia, if I remember correctly, but it really doesn't have much in it these days. Tell us why, with all the warning signs, that more action hasn't occurred. Why do we keep getting sort of laissez-faire on this issue?
Well, you know, for 4 years, the Biden administration, we weren't doing much on this issue. We acknowledged that we were too dependent on China when it came to antibiotics, even the testing reagents to test for COVID-19. So we knew that we were too dependent, but nothing was done to diversify the supply chain. Nothing was done to pre-position supplies in our strategic national stockpile. And there was very little done on trade, if you recall. And we had an wide open southern border where we had the wrong kinds of illegal drugs coming in from the southern border. But we really didn't make any efforts to shore up manufacturing, especially pharmaceutical manufacturing of generics, whether they're antibiotics, antivirals, ibuprofen, hydrocortisone, those very necessary medicines that the majority of people take on a generic basis, both prescription and non-prescription. So I think you're going to see the Trump administration, again, the first thing was seeing the one big beautiful bill, 2 is made in America, and then 3 is what other supports can we have for supporting manufacturing of generic drugs in the United States. And there are things that we can do. There are companies that are coming up. There's one in Tennessee, and I've talked with Representative Diana Harshberger, who's a pharmacist. We've talked about this before, our compounding pharmacies, but how do we support manufacturing, especially of antibiotics here in the United States? And I think there are tax incentives that we can do that will help support these businesses so we still have access to low-cost generics, just not from China.
Sure. Huge. So if I understand that it might be consumer cost prohibitive to onshore all of the production of these drugs, but if we friendshore or nearshore some of the production to Mexico, is there a concern that, looking back at what we saw with fentanyl and their supply coming from China, is there a concern that even if we nearshore it to Mexico, because of the cost, that still could be tainted by China?
Well, I think your point is extremely valid. And what you're getting at is the entire supply chain for drugs. So it's not just having a manufactured medication come from China, but China also has a predominant footprint where it comes to APIs or active pharmaceutical ingredients that make the drugs or make the antibiotics and the KSM or key starting materials. So when they are the holders of the APIs and the key KSMs, they still have an oversized footprint. Mm-hmm. So, getting a hold of that entire supply chain is just as important, to your point, as it is to bring manufacturing to the United States or friendshore or nearshore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so important. You were a doctor, you know how catastrophic it would be if these medicines got cut off. What's the timeline for getting something like this fixed? It seems to me like between the ingredients and the manufacturing, we might be looking at a 5 or 10 year fix. So starting now probably makes some sense, right?
Starting now, which was why the first thing we did was to pass the one big beautiful bill so that those tax incentives are there for manufacturing in the United States, for small businesses, supporting the existing businesses that we have. That's another thing that I think is critically important. And then where it makes sense to nearshore, I think, is another avenue, either in Central America or in Mexico. But those things also help us when it comes to, illegal immigration. So I think there's a whole spectrum of looking at the entire pharmaceutical supply chain from the APIs. And we just had a hearing on this with the APIs and the KSMs. So the starting materials, the building blocks for those pharmaceutical agents. And then, how do we get them? How do we acquire them? How do we be competitive? And having the tax structure that is competitive for companies to be here in the United States. So I think all of those things, the entire supply chain, and then looking at pharmaceutical pharmacy benefit managers for the cost of drugs and what they've done to local pharmacies, independent and community pharmacies, by paying them below the cost of acquisition. So we see competition eroding in small businesses that are, going out of business. So that entire supply chain has to be addressed. And we are doing exactly that in the Energy and Commerce Committee and also other committees, Ways and Means Committee as well, too.
Huge. It's huge. It's a big moment. And I think as Americans get to see the crisis, they're going to be really proud of the solution. Congresswoman, such a great honor. I love every time you come on this show. You make the complex easy to understand. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, both of you. It's wonderful to be with you, John and Amanda.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a great conversation. All right, the Congresswoman just mentioned that congressional testimony. One of the witnesses that testified there, he was actually one of the stars of that hearing, going to join us next after this quick commercial break.
To avoid digital threats, just turn on NordVPN. Improve your protection against trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. Get the deal now.
Oof, this is kind of embarrassing. I'm Ashley here at 4 Patriots Warehouse, and we're completely overstocked. Last year, our 4-week survival kit flew off the shelves, so we told our team, make more, and wow, did they deliver. But thanks to supply chain delays, everything showed up at once. Now we're out of space and doing something we've never done before. Buy one 4-week kit, get one absolutely free. They last 25 years, taste great, and are hand-packed right here in the USA. Go to 4patriots.com. This deal won't last long.
Rav Family, from the group who brought you the hit songs 81 Million Votes, My Ass, MAGA Nation, and Trader Joe, comes a brand new single. Daddy Trump is available everywhere, and we need you to make some noise. Go download it on iTunes, and let's run it up to #1 on the charts for President Trump.
So I just want to thank everybody very much. Thank you.
Get ready. You're about to get bombed by the Truth Bomber.
Didn't raise y'all, but I had to step up. Put the Ayatollah on a no-cap checkup. He calls me Daddy Trump. NATO knows what's up. Why they play pretend, I call they bluff. Kim and Vlad acting bad, throwing fits on the floor. BB screaming from the back, saying, Daddy, there's a war. I walk in like Sunday school.
The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. This is not a cookie cutter design. This is a complete custom build that will fit your every need, and discounts for seniors and military.
Welcome back, everybody, to this very special edition of Just the News, No Noise. We've been taking a look tonight at pharmaceuticals and how many of them are made outside of the United States. So joining us now is someone who knows a lot about this problem, retired colonel for the U.S. Army, and now is the founder and principal growth partner at Blue Zone Bioscience and Supply Chain Solutions. And back on April 30th, 2024, he appeared before the Senate Armed Services Subcommittee on Personnel, and his focus was holding the Pentagon accountable for making sure that our service members get safe, high-quality medications. He is Vic Suarez. Vic, thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have this conversation because you have been in this field of logistics for a very long time, nearly 30 years in the Army, and now you're taking it to the private sector to serve our nation once again. Tell us about it.
Sure. I served 27 years on active duty as a healthcare supply chain leader, a commander 4 times, multiple times in the combat zone, and also did some medical product development. And so as I transitioned from the military in late 2023, I committed my next phase of my career to protecting the supply chain of our country, but also our service members as well.
Vic, one of the things that really struck me about your testimony is it isn't just everyday Americans that have a potential danger to not have access to the basic medicines we need, but the military on the front lines, our veterans in the VA, they're also facing it. Tell us what you found on the military side of things.
Yeah, so in the last several years of my military career, we found that basic things like getting access to ketamine for battlefield use, for pain management, or antibiotics for those soldiers that were deployed in locations where there were, bacterial infections. Some of those things were more challenging to get into this system because of drug shortages globally and into the United States and our supply chains. And so this is not only a big risk to those service members, their families, but also veterans that are now, relying on the VA and the basic U.S. system to support their healthcare needs as they go forward.
Amazing.
Vic, it's one thing to deprive our veterans of medicines, but when it comes to our current defenses, people who are overseas serving us, that seems like a heightened security risk.
It is, and it's really a doubling concern because it's much more challenging to support our forces that are deployed overseas, whether they're in a combat zone or they're just in a forward base. When we have a breakage in that supply chain, it puts them at extreme risk. And we are really there to make sure that we are supporting them and their families at home so that they can focus on their mission. And so this is one of the areas that I think we could really focus on right now with the new administration and some of the opportunities we have with global trade. Over.
Yeah, that's right. These trade deals could open up all sorts of new things. This is a big problem, right? You got a manufacturing limitation in the United States, but even before we get to that, the first really significant thing, I think you pointed this out to Congress so brilliantly, is we don't even have the basic pharmaceutical ingredients on shore to make things. Even if we ramped up a pharmacy, we don't have widespread access to the things that, like penicillin. So tell us a little bit how bad that is and what is the first step to closing that gap in the chain?
Right, and this is a problem that's widely misunderstood. We often talk about active pharmaceutical ingredients or the final dosage form of the medicine. Really, one of the things I've called out in the past year plus is really all the upstream reliance we have, and that's really where the big risk is. And what I mean by that these are key starting materials or intermediate materials. These are basic chemical molecules, whether they're reagents, buffers, or enzymes that go into making the drugs or the key chemicals that are made to make the active pharmaceutical ingredient. A super majority of those are made in China for a variety of reasons due to globalization over the past 20 or 30 years. That is really the underlying upstream risk we have in our pharmaceutical supply chain today. And some of the things we can do about it is really focus and bring more awareness to that point, and to really incentivize U.S. fine chemical manufacturers and strong allied partners that are truly trusted to focus on the early upstream portion of the supply chain that undergirds the entire pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it sounds like after you gave this testimony last year, nothing was really done to alleviate the pressures and the alarms that you rang. Do you see this administration as postured in the right direction to solve these problems? And does President Trump seem pretty open to it?
Yes. From everything I've seen right now, one of the two, one key leader in this whole thing consistently was the Department of Defense, a very apolitical organization. They saw this through the lens of a strategic risk and a vulnerability to our national security. What we see now with the new administration is a focus on not only the national security aspect, that seemed to be a bipartisan issue, but really an economic aspect, and also now with the HHS, a focus on patients and the safety and the quality of medicines directly affecting patient care, and then the trust in the system. I think that's what's the difference probably in the past year or so.
Yeah, that's huge. Those are big. Those are fundamental changes in focus. A few years back, there was an early effort to try to start a process, and I think the idea was to create basically a depot where we could stockpile some medicines. I think it was put in Virginia, as I recall. Tell us what happened with that experiment. Sounds like it was a good intention one, but it might be an empty promise.
Right. This is a classic example of where monies were appropriated during the COVID response to build a facility called the SAPR, or the Strategic API Reserve. This is think of it as a secure facility, tornado rated, that can stockpile critical materials for the pharmaceutical industry. That includes not only active pharmaceutical ingredients, but those key starting materials and chemicals that I mentioned. And the whole idea behind that was to build this facility and fill it up so that we can reduce leverage on overseas adversarial nations like China to provide the majority of those upstream materials. And the problem was that they built the facility, they have operations dollars to man it. But I found out through my investigations over a year ago that it's only about 1% full. Wow. So it's really just a big paperweight right now, and we really need to use that facility with filled up materials of high quality so we can start this conversion process so we can reshore some of these critical industries back to the United States.
Yeah.
A little sugar pill. We thought we were safe, but we're not. It's amazing.
All right, so until we can get to that point where we've got this securely on American shores, or at least friendly shores, who are the danger players? Obviously China. We all know about the issues with China with regards to the fentanyl crisis, but what are some of those adversarial nations that we need to keep an eye on?
Yeah, so the next kind of country I wouldn't put in the adversarial category, but I think an area where we have a little bit of concern, and that's India. And that's mainly because they've got a history of questionable quality manufacturing issues as identified by the FDA in many audits for the last several years. This has been highlighted in numerous investigative reports in Bloomberg and some other outlets that have gone really deep into this. ProPublica just did a story on this a couple weeks ago that exposed some severe problems that they and the FDA kind of oversaw for many, many years that led to these problems. So I think India is kind of a nation to watch out for. They do have some good quality manufacturers. The problem is it's hit or miss right now.
Yeah, and that's going to be the other challenge, right? As we ramp this up and we start getting ingredients, we start building the manufacturing capabilities, ensuring that quality control doesn't slip is another part of it. High priority, I know for you. Do we have the mindset in government to make sure we get that quality?
I think we do. I think there's a lot of momentum right now to bring transparency to quality into the system. There's a lot more calls for independent review and testing. We see that right now in HHS, at least on the food front, where people want to know what are the ingredients in our food system. I think the natural next step is what is in our consumer products and what is in our medicines. And I think that level of transparency not only provides a normal market to function, but it also allows payers, buyers, even doctors and patients themselves to have better trust in the system. And I think there's a huge movement right now. I think there's a lot of members of Congress that are calling for this. The military is certainly leading in this. And one major healthcare system is already doing this for 3.5 years. And that's independent review of over 24 medicines. And that's Kaiser Permanente. They've really led the front in the private industry on looking at independent quality review of their products that they buy.
Yeah, good for Kaiser. I guess some other hospital systems should follow suit. Retired Colonel and founder of Blue Zone Bioscience and Supply Chain Solutions, Victor Suarez. Victor, this is such a great conversation. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody, after the break, John and I are going to give you some final thoughts on this big national security issue after this break.
When surprise breakdowns happen, American Home Shield will be there to fix or replace parts of the systems and appliances you rely on every day. They help protect your time and money by connecting you with qualified pros and helping pay for covered repairs or replacements. AHS offers flexible and affordable plans for every home. Sign up today and get 50% off. Visit ahs.com or call 833-PLAN-AHS for this limited time offer.
Being single for years, what would it do to you? Would it make you sad? Would it make you lose hope? Would it make you feel disconnected? I wouldn't know, because I'm using datemyage.com. Grab your phone or laptop. Go to Date My Age. Get started for free.
Join datemyage.com today.
How does the world's most trusted dog expert keep his own dog so healthy?
Hi, I am Cesar Milan. In my 20 years rehabilitating dogs, I've seen too many struggle with health problems that no amount of training could fix. Then I discovered it wasn't the dog, it was their food. Fortunately, I found veterinarian Dr. Marty's anti-kibble breakthrough.
Nature's Blend is packed with whole foods that are freeze-dried, locking in nutrients.
I saw remarkable improvements in my dogs within weeks.
Try Dr. Marty risk-free for 90 days. Plus, get a free gift when you call or visit drmartypets.com/Caesar.
Do you suffer in pain? Are you stiff, tense, or less active? Introducing the EasyWell Remedy Massage System, a triple fusion of therapeutic experiences. Full body vibrational therapy increases blood circulation and reduces inflammation. Infrared heat penetrates deep to reduce pain, soothe, and relax. The Ultra Shiatsu pillow with 6 heated nodes mimics a professional massage. Plus, it's detachable for deep relief anywhere you need it. Experience the true remedy for your pain and stiffness. Call now.
Welcome back, everybody. John, just a few final thoughts. You know, I've been in Washington now effectively 6 months, but I've been in the political arena for a while, as have you. And there are oftentimes these types of subjects that come across the table that make absolutely no sense.
Yep.
And you think to yourself, why does this happen? But the general answer is, well, it's just kind of always been that way. And when it comes to getting these drugs from other countries, it seems like from so many people in years past, we heard, well, that's just always how we've done it. And I'm so grateful to the groundbreakers that were on the show tonight who are willing to talk about ways to not do it that way.
You heard from Jay Bhattacharya that there's a plan in place to start to address this. You heard from 2 members of Congress that Congress is now alerted to it. Yep. And then you heard from one of the great witnesses who I think shocked the Congress a year ago when he said the military sometimes doesn't have enough to even treat wounded soldiers in a surgery. They're missing a painkiller. Yeah. How bad it is. What's so classic about this Washington part is that we have a near-death experience in 20, which is China nearly cuts us off from it. Yeah. And everybody says, as soon as this pandemic's over, we're going to fix it. And what do? They move on and they don't fix it. And that's why we did this show tonight. And the great news is that there's now momentum towards fixing it. And it's not the newfangled drugs. It's not the stuff you inject yourself to lose weight. Right. It's not the stuff that, the great cancer drugs. It's the antibiotics. It's the antiseptics. It's the things that we use every single day. We'd be in a world of hurt if we suddenly brought antibiotics.
Yeah, I look at the legacy of, was it Alexander Fleming who invented penicillin?
Yeah.
I look at the legacy that he has of creating something like that and the stupidity of the position we have put ourselves in. It's just remarkable. But it's Washington, It is Washington, and you can't spell stupid without Washington in the middle of it. Now, that's not really true, but you know what I'm saying. Listen, this was an important conversation. What I want to do is a couple months from now, let's come back and track how much progress has been made. Let's hold the feet of political leaders in Washington to fire. It's got to get done. I keep thinking of the image of that empty, what the colonel told us. We created a depot to solve this and it's empty. Yeah. We never filled it up. Yeah. It's a sugar pill. Yeah. He called it a paperweight. Literally, a sugar pill. Yeah. We said paper mill. Effectively what so much of what Washington creates is paperweights. But this is something that affects the lives of Americans, and people can die from it, and our service members can die from it. And like we were saying with Victor Suarez, if you affect our defenses in foreign countries, you are leaving us defenseless. He said, you got to start treating medicine like it was ammunition when you're in the military. That's a very powerful thing. I love that. We wouldn't accept our guys being out of bullets. Absolutely. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in with us to this very special edition. And look out in a few months, because I think we're going to do that. We'll do a follow-up episode and see what the progress is. Thanks for being here, and we will see you next week.
Why aren't you getting results? Random workouts, overtraining muscles, completely missing others, wasted time. Don't do that. Do this. This is 25 minutes speed train. Follow me for just 25 minutes a day, 7 days a week, with minimal equipment, and get actual results.
Look at the definition. I didn't have these arms at high school.
Subscribe to Body in the next 24 hours for less than 50 cents a day and get 25-minute speed train free at bodywithaneye.com.
Some people are worried that they won't be able to get food, whether it's because of food shortages or rising prices or, God forbid, even a disaster. But right now, check this out. This tote, it's got breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even enough for snacks for up to 4 weeks, guys. And right now, when you order one of these 4-week food survival kits, you get the second kit absolutely free. Now, you see that little square on your screen? That's called a QR code. And here's how to use it. Pick up your smartphone. Now, just open up the camera app like you're gonna take a picture. Hold it up so that the camera can see the QR code on the screen. You see that? The link popped up right there. Now go ahead, you tap that. That link's gonna take you to this deal right now. Now see, these kits can last up to 25 years. They taste great, and they ship for free. This is your food security plan. And right now, it's buy one, get one free. So that means it's double your value. But that's only if you scan the code before the deal ends. So go ahead, scan the code to buy a 1 4-week food kit, and you'll get that second one absolutely free.